Well, hello everyone and welcome back. A year later, to my second year of YouTube. The second channel retrospective and future plans, or channel retrospective and future plans part 2. Crazy. So this is going to be a long video. The first part, I don't know if you saw last year's one, but if you did, the last year one had my nice section where it talks about my YouTube channel for the past year, talked about the future stuff, and then I reacted to all my videos, and I imagine this year is probably going to be the same. So look at the timestamps, see what you're interested in, and skip around, because I am certain that you're probably not going to be interested in the entire thing. But let's get to it. And for that, we have to start with the goals from last year. So last year I did this exact same video and I had a bunch of goals that I set. So my first one was at least one scripted video uploaded every 2 weeks. And the goal was to publish them on the exact same day of the week, so that I'll have a nice consistent schedule. You know, people will come to my channel and they'll be expecting a video on, like, say, every second Sunday, and they'll be so excited and looking forward to it. And this is in orange here because I partially met the goal. We'll get to it when we get to it, but I certainly did not upload every 2 weeks. But I met it more than I probably should have. But anyway, so this year I made 11 scripted videos, nice blue boxes in the calendar. I made 31 unscripted videos, which is a ridiculous amount. 26 live streams, starting in September. 16 uploaded live stream clips. So I clipped the live streams, put them on Ordinary Ari and uploaded them. And then I made 32 videos on other channels. And by other channels, I mainly mean Secondary ENT, which is Kyle Entertainment's second channel. But I think there was one video and potentially another one coming very soon to Riker 7 Anime for the Attack on Titan series, basically talking about the final episode. But yeah, that was this year. Now, comparing it to last year, there's a lot more. So I made 2 less scripted videos. However, I made a lot more unscripted videos, so 23 up to 31. I started live streaming, so 26 up from 0, and that was a big time sink, which I'm currently live streaming this right now. Crazy. And believe it or not, last year I only did 18 videos on other channels, and this time I did 32 somehow, which is crazy because Kyle Entertainment disappeared after September, and I haven't made a video with him since. So yeah, despite that, I even made way more videos on other channels. So my total videos has gone up from 54 last year that I made in 2022 to making 98 in 2023, plus 16 stream clips. So a ridiculously larger amount of content this year, which I'm very happy to see that in retrospect. Anyway, so the first goal, at least one scripted video every 2 weeks. Kind of did it, kind of not. But if you visualize it, so this is showing for every video, how long did it take from the previous video to actually get this video out? So the first 3 videos, or the first 2 here, you can see here, I actually met the 2 weeks, and then I delayed, by about another, maybe it was like a month or so. Then the next one I overshot and I made it way too quickly because it was barely editing or scripting or anything like that. It was a nice compilation of Sakuga. Then I missed the next one, then I got the next one, and then I missed the next 2, and then there was a giant break, all right? And I have 3 excuses here. One is that I moved back to Australia. So for 6 months in this year, I was in the US, which I think explains the actual delay for this one, because that was in February is when I moved to the US, and there was a bit of I had to get used to what my work schedule was going to be like and everything. So that changed up, and yeah, so that's what this delay is. But this one was when I moved back to Australia, so I had to readjust to my working schedule. I had a surgery, so that had the actual preparing for the surgery and also the recovery, which took a while. And I had a big PhD paper due, my second one of my PhD, so that I had to get that done, and that took a lot of time. So that's what this big delay one was, and then I somehow got the Attack on Titan one out 2 weeks later. But anyway, that was the first goal from 2022. Excuse me. The next one was the monthly media digest, which I said was not going to be limited to YouTube videos. So I did this once a month, every month. I talked about all the media that I consumed. And this was, I guess we'll get to it when I talk about what worked well and what didn't. I think this worked very well. I loved making this. This is this was a good thing. I'm very glad I did this, basically. I enjoyed making it. The format has actually gotten a lot better over time. I started with this tiny little me in the corner here, and then I improved it by, I tried a few things. I tried once using my actual phone and using a 4K recording. That was terrible. Never doing that again. And then I tried this method where this is actually using my phone to record. I have a tripod that I put up, but it's through OBS, so it's much easier. But I think this is the style I'll stick with for now. I think it looks pretty good. But anyway. Second goal, monthly digest. Third goal was at least one scripted video for each of the following, and I almost got all of this. So Mushoku Tensei, I got the Norn video out while that was airing, and that was the greatest decision I ever made to actually publish a video while that series was airing. The Attack on Titan video, I got that out when that was airing. And I completely failed at making a Vinland Saga video. And I had the longest time for that one, because Mushoku Tensei was only 13 episodes. Attack on Titan, there was only 2 episodes this year. Vinland Saga had a nice 24-week stretch. For any week in that 24 weeks, I could have made a video, but I didn't. So yeah, that was a complete miss on my part there. And then there were two other things that I had as goals that I've completely missed. And I think I'm changing my perspective on like what types of videos I make, which we'll talk about later. But I didn't make an AI or programming video at all, and I didn't make any science or technology explanation videos. Now these are interesting. I might potentially do this in the future, but I probably won't. I think I'm shifting away from non-media related videos, even though I haven't made any. So yeah, those are my goals that I could control. These are the ones that I couldn't control. And the first one was at least 1,000 subs, which I absolutely met, which I'm very happy, at least on this channel, with a stretch goal of 5K, which I did not meet. But, you know, it's a stretch goal. Who needs to meet that? And I said that if I get lucky with 1 to 2 very popular videos, and I guess I could say I succeeded there. There were 3 videos, I guess, that really got a lot of views, but yeah, it was interesting. And I got monetization true, which is the best thing ever, you know. Now I get money from my videos. Oh yeah, and a 50K video would be cool, which I got 3 of them this year. I got these 2, which were uploaded very recently, like these actual new 2023 uploads. So the Norn video 4 months ago, and the What Will Attack on Titan Leave Behind 1 month ago. And then out of nowhere, the Forgotten Paul Rudy argument and White So Great took off and suddenly got 190,000 views. Crazy. So a lot of success this year, which I was very happy to see. Oh, and also there was a goal of getting 50 Twitter followers, and I achieved that, and I got 61. And I had absolutely no idea why that happened. I didn't really particularly tweet anything crazy that got like a lot of engagement or anything. I don't know. Someone slowly, they started following me. So there we are. Other missed things. So in that last video last year, I did talk about a bunch of other things. The first one, I said I was going to do a media consumption list on Twitter, and I did that. That was great. I said that I would use my face cam for unscripted stuff potentially, and it depends on reception and feedback. And here we are right now on a stream where basically all of the Ordinary Ari content this year has been with a face cam, and I think it works well. So I'm definitely sticking with that, and that is something I did this year. So this, I kind of met it. So I said that I was going to do for every scripted video, I'd have the main video that I put in Ordinary, on Elite Ari. I'd have the shorts at a TikTok version, which is like a cutout version basically that make it fit in like a nice short format, and a behind the scenes video on Ordinary Ari that was going to be linked at the end, and I was going to have like a section at the end of all videos where I'd be like, if you want to check out more, go check out the behind the scenes or whatever. Now I started doing this at the beginning. I never did these behind the scenes things until very recently, where now I can talk about my videos on stream whenever I actually make them, like afterwards. But beyond that, I only did like a shorts or TikTok version for the first like 3 or 4 videos, and then I gave up because it wasn't really succeeding, and it kind of took too much time, and it just wasn't worth it, I guess. So yeah, I'll count this as like a, you know, potential 50-50 hit miss kind of thing. Pinned comment telling people to follow me on Twitter for updates and opinions. I kind of did this, but I kind of shifted away from this. Like what I did instead was like whenever there was a video that blew up or like got a lot of views, I put like a pinned comment that was like linking to either an unscripted video I did on Ordinary Ari, like talking about like, oh, if you want interested in Mushoku Tensei, check out the read through we did here, or like watch through we did here. Or I'd link to like another video. If it's like Attack on Titan, I'll be like, oh, if you're interested, check out Jarky Bacon's video because he was like in that collaboration. So yeah. Talking more in group conversations, I don't know, it's just like kind of like a 50-50. It depends. I think what I've realized is it's like, if I have nothing to say, I just truly have nothing to say. Like I can't just force myself to talk more. So I think I'm shifting away from this as actually being a goal. I think I talk enough, and I only really talk if I really have anything to say. So I'll stick with this as like a 50-50 kind of thing. Tweet and interact with people more on Twitter. I also took this as a like kind of hit, kind of miss, because I certainly tweeted a lot more, and I interacted with a lot more people on Twitter. But it certainly was not any community building. So I don't think I made a single like community, I don't think I made any community progress whatsoever on Twitter, but I certainly tweeted a lot more and interacted with a lot more people. Anyway. And the Utena rewatch was a complete fail. I did not do it. I didn't watch a single episode of Revolution Ago Utena this year, and certainly there were no videos about it. There were also a few collab videos I planned last year, and surprisingly, I basically did all of them. So Mushoku Tensei Season 2 I was planning to do with Bacon, and we added Kyle to it, and that was great. I enjoyed that a lot. The Vinland Saga monthly chapters with Kyle and Bacon, we ended up doing that. The Vinland Saga Season 2 discussion with Bacon and Kyle, there was also that, and we also added Mir to it, which is cool. Is this the first year I interacted with Mir? Probably. I feel like the Vinland Saga Season 2 was probably the first time I ever spoke to Mir, like with my voice. I've typed to him before, very briefly, I think, but never spoken, so that was interesting. There was also the Devilman read-through, which we did, the Chainsaw Man manga read-through, which is great. I love doing that. That's like a weekly thing we do on Secondary ENT. Go check out that channel. And the one thing we didn't do this year was anything concerning the Attack on Titan reread with Kyle and Riker. I think that we're probably going to bury that project, I imagine. But you know what? We haven't said anything formally yet. So if you leave a comment down below saying, Ari, I'm so devastated that you haven't done anything with the Attack on Titan reread. Please make more. Then you know maybe we'll consider it. But anyway, those were my collab videos. Now I have a bunch of statistics, and when I say a bunch, I mean a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of great statistics. So my total subscribers here, we have for Elite Ari and Ordinary Ari. I guess I don't really have much to say. Like there were a few, this like, I don't even see my mouse, surely you can. This here was when Mushoku Tensei was airing and the Norn video got a lot of views. And then on top of that, the Paul video got a lot of views. And that in turn got me a lot of subscribers. And this little bump here was the Attack on Titan video. But basically a bunch of subscribers this year, which I was very glad to see. Ordinary Ari was much more stable. You can probably see recently, like this past like kind of curve or like exponential kind of curve is when I've started uploading actual clips, which have been doing very well from like my live streams. So if I continue doing that, hopefully a similar curve to this will kind of happen. But yeah, those are my total subs here. So my total views are very similar. If we go back and forth, you know, they're nice and at least for Elite Ari, they're very similar, the actual curves. For Ordinary Ari, the views are a lot more stable compared to the actual subs, which is interesting. But anyway. Next, we have, for each of the videos, since the day they were uploaded, how many views have they gotten? And we have a bunch here. So the Norn one took off very quickly in the first few days until the first like 100 or so it's been out now. It's still getting up there and getting quite a lot of views. The Attack on Titan one was my fastest video to get to 50,000 views. It was crazy, went very quickly. Then there's the, remember this scene, Paul Rudius fight, which out of nowhere, like 230 days into it, it's like, you know what, this video is great, let me promote it everywhere, and he got a bunch of views and became my most viewed video by far, which was crazy. Then there's the anticlimactic video, which, you know, initially it was actually doing really well for the first like 50 days or so. It actually got a really big thing, and then it like plateaued. And then when season 2 came out, and the Norn and the this video started taking off, this one also got like a nice bump from that. And then there's the epilogue video from Mushoku Tensei. It got a tiny little bump when season 2 came out as well. Yeah. And then actually I didn't put this here, but this little thing here, you can see this tiny little thing that's accelerating. That is the Mikasa video. All right. So I'm glad this is getting a nice little view bump. You know, one day, hopefully it'll be my most popular video, but I somehow doubt that. Excuse me. Anyway, next up. So on Ordinary Ari, I have a few different types of content, basically. Like I have like Mushoku Tensei, I have like Chainsaw Man, like I got a bunch of groups. So now I'm going to go through which of these groups have been getting the most views. So this is over the lifetime of my channel, basically from the beginning when I first started in like April 2022 all the way till now. And the number one is Mushoku Tensei. Absolutely. On both my main channel and this channel, Mushoku Tensei dominates. But next up is kind of surprising to me, which is Vinland Saga. Despite publishing basically no Vinland Saga stuff to my channel this year, it's consistently been getting views. Like it ever since I finished, which I think would have been like pretty much like somewhere between here, like maybe when it was it like maybe it was beyond August to, it was like October or something I think I finished. I don't remember. Actually, maybe it was like really early in that year. Maybe by August I did finish. Anyway, whatever. It's been getting constant views, like the actual discussions that I did with Bacon. So that was really good to see. Next up, we have the actual stream clips, which have been happening very recently, you can see, but they've been getting a lot of views very quickly. If I keep uploading this, which I have been currently doing once every 2 days, but I think I'm probably going to slow that down because it's a bit hard to maintain that pace. I think by next year, this will undoubtedly be the #1 source of views. It's been taken off very quickly. And I think it's a very good idea for growth of the actual channel. And then we have Chainsaw Man, which through the discussion videos, it's been like getting a nice, you know, decent amount of views that have tapered off. But then I uploaded that one stream clip about Chainsaw Man and it kind of took off there and got a lot of views. So yeah, interesting. Then we have breaking down the views by content group. So Ordinary Ari, this is just looking at the views I got in 2023. So even though Vinland Saga was the most or the second most popular here, if we look at just views from 2023, it was actually the third most popular. Yeah, if you break this down, by far, Mushoku Tensei is the most popular group in 2023. So whenever I upload a Mushoku Tensei video, I tend to get a lot of views. Then the stream clips are next, followed by Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man, the live streams, the digest, and then basically everything else. So Attack on Titan and Black Sails. Those are the two least things. Then we have the same thing for Elite Ari, but there's pretty big dominance here. There's two main camps. We got Mushoku Tensei with 370,000 views, so 80%. And then we got that one successful Attack on Titan video. They got, well, it got around 85,000, but then there's also the Mikasa video, so for a total of 88,000. And then we have other, which is every other video on the channel, which is, I think in total, yeah, I guess here it's 5,000. So tiny amount for everything else. Hopefully we can expand this next year, right? Making a variety of content. Then we have the hours of content produced. So yeah, I guess in terms of overall in 2022, the majority of it was still unscripted, so around 65%. I had 33% on Kyle's channel and any other channels I was on, and then I have my nice scripted videos at 4.1%. This year, scripted has been shoved to be tiny, so less than or 1% of my content was scripted this year in terms of the number of hours of scripted content. Number one by far is still unscripted, 40%. Excuse me. Number two is live streams, which I feel like next year this is going to be the dominant thing by far, because I've only been streaming since like I think 3 months now, and it's already 36% of my total hours. So if you combine unscripted and live streams, what's that, like 76% or 75%, let's say. All of that is just purely me being unscripted. So that has been jumped up a lot since the 63% from last year. And there's still a significant amount of content on other channels, which I think the majority of this would be the Chainsaw Man discussions with Kyle, which was like a weekly thing we did. So that's probably where all that comes from. And scripted stuff, 1%. In terms of time distribution, everything is basically up from last year besides the scripted videos. So 47 hours up to 58 for unscripted, 52 hours of live stream so far. There's 24 hours of stuff on other channels last year versus 34 hours, and the scripted's down from 3 hours to 1 hour. So in total, I've gone from 74 hours of stuff last year to 145. So pretty much doubled it, which is, yeah, pretty crazy. Now, some other random stats here. So in terms of my actual subscribers, I guess this is kind of interesting. For Elite Ari, basically 99% of my audience is not subscribed. So it's just like people seeing it. Because obviously I got a bunch of views. I got like, what did I say? Like 300,000 views or something last year, or this year. And yeah, it's a very small fraction of my audience that is actually subscribed that watches those videos. But for Ordinary Ari, there is a sizable chunk of my audience where my views have come from people who are subscribed, which is interesting. So 16%. Now the interesting, sorry, this is another statistic here, which is that the breakdowns are pretty similar. The most people watch on their phone, which is, I guess, to be expected these days, followed by computer. I'm kind of surprised that there's 5% or 6% of people that watch my videos on their TV. It's like crazy to me that that's such a large number. I feel like that would be absolutely dwarfed by everything else, but it's actually big enough to, like, see it on the actual pie chart. Wild to me. And then tablets as well, which is fair enough. The other somewhat interesting thing is that there's a larger percentage of people who watch Elite Ari videos on their computer versus Ordinary Ari, where most people watch it on their phone, or more people watch it on their phone relatively, which I guess kind of makes sense, because I can imagine watching an Ordinary Ari video without looking at it, like just having it in your pocket or something, have it listening to it. Whereas Elite Ari, you probably have to pay attention, and you could probably do that easier if you've got like a computer screen in front of you where you're looking at it. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Then the last thing here is my gender breakdown here. Very similar for both, about 95% male for both, and then 4% and or 4% female here and 5% there, and then other, I have 1% for Elite Ari. There's no other in Ordinary Ari for some reason, but yeah, crazy. Now this is also, I found this very interesting, which is for the live stream. The vast majority of my people who view my live streams are subscribers, which is completely different from what we were looking here, which is that it's 16% of my viewers, or like views for my videos on Ordinary Ari are subscribers. So from 16% to 55% of my actual views from live streams are from subscribers. So I kind of find that very interesting. Now, even more interesting and crazy to me is that 71% of my watch time of my live streams are from my subscribers. Now, this makes perfect sense, right? Because if you're watching my live streams, you probably are very interested in my channel, and you're probably subscribed to my channel. And you're probably much more likely to actually watch through an actual stream and not just drop it when it gets very boring, which is, I was just surprised to see it was so high at 71%. Then, I guess this follows from the last graph, but the average view duration for live streams for my subscribers is basically double that of not subscribed. So an average of around 11 minutes versus 5 minutes for people who aren't subscribed. So yeah. Now we have a very limited data for Twitter, which is how much did I tweet over the year. I think this is my only graph I've got here, which in 2022, I tweeted, I don't know, very little, less than 10 tweets a day was my maximum here, 10 tweets. But this year, I tweeted a lot more, especially when I first got to America, like those first few, months here, there was a lot of tweeting going on. And this is when I was like fighting people on Twitter, being ironic. I was like memeing on people, basically. I wasn't being very serious. It was fun. I don't know how productive it was for anything, but it was very fun. But yeah, this is my activity on Twitter. I feel like next year, it'd probably be pretty similar, I imagine, but we'll see. Anyway, that's all the stats. So now I've got some reflections on 2023. It's been a long year. I made a lot of videos. What was it, 150 hours or something? I don't know how many hours, but it was a lot of hours of content. Here are some reflection. Number one, views are king, basically. Views are the number one metric. I think I've come to value views much more than subscribers this year, because views are actually the people watching your videos. You get more comments, the more viewers you have. You get the more influence, the more viewers you have, and you get more money, the more viewers you have. So these are the three key things, I think. You've got everything. Like, you have the money aspect, which is obviously what a lot of people like about YouTube. You have the community aspect, which a lot of people make videos for the fact that they get people to see their videos and they can like engage with the community, and you only get that through views rather than subscribers, or at least the way I have so far. A lot of my comments have come from, you know, large views rather than large subscribers. To me, subscribers only really matter now for flexing, where I'm like, oh my god, I've got like, if I get like 100k one day, I'll be like, I have 100k subscribers. Yeah, I think views is what I've come to value a lot more than subscribers this year. Especially with the fact that shorts, like when you get shorts, subscribers, you can get a lot of subscribers from shorts, which aren't going to like translate over to other videos. But getting views from shorts, now that's a lot of influence. Anyway, the next thing I learned this year is that having a target audience when I make a scripted video is very important. Now, the thing that comes to mind, I guess I have a few of them, but the main one is the speculative black holes video. And I think we'll get to this. I react to this video later on, and I actually recorded that earlier, so I talked about this then. But the problem with that video was that it truly has no target audience. Like, I don't know who is going to see this video and be interested in it. Whereas all the other videos that are successful have a very clear target audience. The Attack on Titan one was for people who finished the anime and are interested to see like what we remembered for, basically. The Mushoku Tensei Norn one is for light novel readers who are interested in the character that they haven't seen a video for yet, because no one makes Norn videos. Like, basically every video that I've seen that has been successful has a very clear audience in mind, whereas the ones that don't succeed, I don't think do. So I feel like whenever I come up with videos going forward, I'm going to make sure there's like a specific target audience that I'm aiming for. That's one thing I've learned this year. Another thing is just like a funny statistic I found that isn't too important, but the notification bell is basically unimportant, with the exception of live streams potentially. But when it comes to scripted videos, it's like a minuscule amount of views you actually get from these notifications. So, I mean, from my perspective, I'm sure for the people viewing, the notifications are valuable. For me, it's like basically useless because, for instance, I got 82,000 views on my Attack on Titan video, and 7% of my subscribers have notifications turned on, where they'll actually receive the notification. So 70% received the notification, and only 3% clicked on it, which is pretty typical. Like, that's the average like view, which average click-through rate for notifications, which led to a total out of this 82,000 views of 4 views, which is wild. But yeah, so it's completely, I would never, you know, there's a lot of people who go like, please click that notification bell or whatever. I don't think it's worth pointing that out, at least in my case. The other thing is that I think I've learned very recently, which is that uploading frequently is probably the most important thing. Well, it'll be there. There's one other thing that I think is very important, but this is either the or second most important thing. Because the more you upload, just the more chances you have of actually having a video take off out of nowhere. The first thing I wrote here is that the majority, when I looked at my analytics, 90+% of my views on Elite Ari come from recommendations, not subscriptions. So it's not like I'll get, now that I have like 2,000 subscribers, it's not like I'm going to get like 2,000 of my views from my subscribers. The majority of all my videos, 90% plus basically, there are some exceptions, but for most videos, 90% plus purely come from recommendations. And the more I upload, the more chance there is for the recommendation or the video to be recommended randomly out of nowhere and for it to take off. So I think just purely uploading more Elite Ari videos is the way to go if I actually want to get successful in terms of views. Now, yeah, and I guess this is what I've written here, but the thing that really showed this to me was when I started uploading stream clips from Ordinary Ari to the actual channel, like editing them and uploading them, because I've done a lot. I was uploading every 2 days, and out of nowhere, some of them would just go from like getting 50 views to getting like over 1,000. And I was like, wow. The most random videos as well, where I would never expect for anyone to be interested in this, but it would take off and I'd get like a bunch of views. And I feel like that's probably the case. It would like transfer over that idea to scripted videos. I think it would also be successful. So I'm thinking, you know, more videos is a good idea. And I guess this is also a thing I mentioned earlier, which is that I also learned it's possible for old videos, which seem like they've plateaued, to suddenly take off out of nowhere. And the example was what I mentioned before, which is the Paul Rudy argument, which was for 230 days, it was stuck at less than 10,000 views. And then suddenly in the matter of like a month or two, it shot up to 190,000. So yeah, this stuff is crazy. Now, the things that worked well this year, the Media Digest, loved it. Media List on Twitter, loved it. It's always so rewarding to watch something and be like, oh, not only did I just watch something, but I can show other people that I watched something. I have a nice list of my things that I've watched this year. And then not only that, but I can talk about it at the end of the month. And people actually care about what I think about, like the things I've consumed. It's really good. I love this stuff. The other thing was my life has become so much easier because last year when we were recording unscripted stuff, like when I was discussing things with Bacon or Kyle, for instance, we would each record our audio using Audacity. And then, for instance, if I'm recording with Kyle, for instance, I would record my audio in Audacity. He would record his audio on his end in Audacity. He'd send it to me. I'd have to like sync them up. I'd get the volumes correct. I'd put in a video and then I'd export it again, which is just the time sync. What I do this year, purely record everyone's audio that I'm talking to over Discord. And so automatically it's all like volume is correct because it's what I'm hearing on the day. I don't have to sync it up because I'm recording on OBS. It's so much quicker. Like last year would take me, at minimum, it would take me a few hours to upload a video from the time I finished recording. These days I can get a video out in like half an hour after I finished recording, because the fact that I record the audio so well, I record in OBS, I can remux things now, so it's much quicker to format. And it's just so quick. I can get discussion videos out without much trouble, which is great. The other thing that worked was publishing a video when the series is airing. So for this, I've got two examples, the Mushoku Tensei and Attack on Titan. Both of those really took off purely, I would say, because the series were airing at the time. So people were interested in videos concerning the series because it was airing, and they watched the videos. So I think publishing videos when a series is airing is absolutely key. Excuse me. Another thing, live streams have been going well, and the live stream clips have been doing very well as well. Now, the 2-week deadline for scripted videos is both a thing that worked well and a thing that didn't work well. Now, on one hand, it worked very well for forcing me to be creative and to experiment with like different editing styles and like video ideas and stuff, because I had to get things out in 2 weeks. And when you have that deadline, even if you don't meet it, but you just kind of want to get as close to it as possible, it kind of forces you to like compromise when you otherwise wouldn't compromise, and it forces you to get writing even if you have nothing to really write, and it really leads to a bit more, like way more creativity and experimentation. And the two videos I kind of point out are the Speculative Black Holes video and the Why We Love Characters video. Those two are like, they would not exist without this 2-week deadline, because I wasn't really sure what to do, and I didn't really want to get them out, and it only came out because I had to like get something done. So it's kind of fun. And I'm sure there's a few others this year, like the Froppy one as well, probably, about like Tsuyu's confession. That probably wouldn't have come out either. There's a bunch like that. Anyway, there's a few things that didn't work well this year, which is that the 2-week deadline, although it's good for creativity, I think it's terrible for broad appeal videos. I think if you want something to succeed, or if I want something to succeed and be appealing to a broad audience, I kind of have to think it out like pretty well. I have to think like, who is this going to appeal to? Like, am I scripting this so it's interesting throughout the entire video, or does it like plateau or something? Like there's like more effort, I guess, that can't be really done when you have a strict deadline. It's not a 2-week deadline, I guess. What I'm trying to say is a 2-week deadline isn't optimal for kind of getting the most views, I think, is what I'm thinking. The shorts and TikToks also did not go well. I think my videos are just not well suited for it. People are not interested in it, didn't get many views, and I just stopped doing it. And that one time I recorded digest in 4K was an absolute, it was a drain on my character. It took so long. The recording itself was okay, but it was a bit annoying because like my phone was heating up, and it was like awkward. I had to sit like this, and the camera angle looked weird and stuff. And it was a nightmare to export from my phone because the phone had to compress it, and like I couldn't transfer it, and it was so big of a file, and editing it in Premiere was so slow because it was 4K. Exporting it was so slow. Uploading it was so slow because it was so big. Never again am I doing a 4K video from my phone. If I can't record it in OBS, I'm not recording it at all, is basically like my motto going forward. So yeah, things that worked well this year and things that didn't work well this year. Now, I have a few miscellaneous thoughts as well that I couldn't quite fit into anything else. The first one is that AI has made my life way easier when it comes to videos this year. And there's a few things I've listed here. So ChatGPT is fantastic for script feedback. So when I have a nice script that I've written and I want to see, like, is this clear? Is there anything that doesn't make sense? Like, is there a better way to word certain things? Can you make this sound a bit more lyrical, and then like try and make it sound like it fits in? Like, is there a way to like, does the conclusion follow from the rest of this stuff? Like, there's a lot of stuff I can prompt ChatGPT to kind of make my scripts feel tighter and better and well written and stuff. So I'm really glad for ChatGPT there. The other thing is that Photoshop generative fill, I might even use this more than ChatGPT, honestly, because whenever I'm doing anything visual in a video, for instance, if I'm taking a panel from a manga and I need to like make it look a little better, like cut out a certain bit to make it look nicer. If I'm basically every thumbnail I've made this year had some element of generative fill. It had to. Like it's so good for just cutting out like little things that you don't want there, or to generate like, say I want flames or something, and I don't want to like, if you want a certain style of flame, you can type in exactly what style, like what color, what like shape and stuff, and it'll generate it for you. Like, it's just so nice. This is an absolute like time saver, and it's great. Also for animating panels, this is what I said here, because when you animate panels, you have to like cut out the foreground and the background. You have to fill in the background from what was originally there, and you can just fill it in so quickly with the generative fill. It is a lifesaver in terms of time. The other thing is relighting thumbnails. There's a website for it's called Clip Drop Relight, which I think is by Stability AI, for like just relighting thumbnails. You can see in the Speculative Black Holes video that thumbnail was relit using that. The video called More or whatever, like More, a Mark Osborne film or whatever, that thumbnail was relit using that. It's a very useful tool there. Another one which is incredibly useful. I use this for every single scripted video. I could not imagine my life without this. I don't know how people like like Bacon and Kyle, I don't know how they make scripted videos without this. To script transcription editing. It is, if you make videos, if you are even remotely considering making videos, this is worth it. Get this. I have to say like a million times, get this. This is so much better than anything beforehand. Before I used to hate editing the audio for videos. This is so much better. What this does is that you record your audio however you want, like using OBS or using Audacity or whatever. I use Audacity still because it's like, nice and streamlined. You send the video to the script. Like, you have a nice program on your computer. You like drag the audio file into the program, and it transcribes your entire script. Like, it gives you the actual typed like letters for what you said. And instead of like in Audacity looking and cutting out certain sections by like dragging and selecting regions, pressing delete and stuff, and which is a nightmare and very annoying to do, you literally edit the text. Like, you delete sections you don't like, you can move them around, like you can copy and paste. Like, it's like if you say something multiple times and there's like multiple versions of like the same thing, and you want to be like, oh, what's the best take I did? You can just copy and paste and move them around, and it's so good. If you make scripted videos, this is an absolute must. If there was one thing I would recommend, it is the script audio package, like whatever it is, the script program. Absolutely recommend it. Autopod has also become very useful recently, but I dropped it because I was using a free trial. But the free trial, I may have used the free trial 4 times, and then they emailed me and they're like, oh, why are you using the trial for 4 times? Let me ban you here, and I can't use it anymore. But there is a free like GitHub like script that I've used, which I'm using now. But basically, Autopod is for automatically editing out pauses from videos. So for scripted videos, unscripted videos, I've used it basically every time. What you do is just in Premiere, you like load the footage, like for instance, a discussion between me and Bacon about like not My Hero Academia, Mushoku Tensei. You press the button and it like cuts out all the silence. It makes it feel a lot more like smooth, and there's no like awkward pauses or anything. That's also been really useful. And also, I haven't used it too much this year, but I feel like I'm probably going to be using this a lot more next year, but music generation. So Music LM and Music Gen, these are 2 like tools by I think Facebook and Google. And it generates music basically. So the one thing I've used it for this year is that the chime that happens at the beginning of all my ordinary RE stream clips, it's like a lo-fi like music or whatever, that's AI generated. And it's good because there's like, you're not going to get any copyright claims on it. There's no like content ID. It's like an original soundtrack, original song, so no one else is going to have it on YouTube. Like it's just for my videos. I think it's great for that purpose. And it's only going to get better, obviously, as the music AI gets better. So maybe eventually in my actual scripted videos, I might be starting to use this as well. But it's been very good for that. Then my miscellaneous thoughts, scripting scripted videos shouldn't take as long as it does, which is, yeah, absolutely. My actual editing this year has been, I guess I wrote a note on this as well. The editing has been very good this year. So usually what happens is that I'll, like let's say if we're talking right at the beginning of this year when I was hitting that 2-week deadline nice and well, what I would generally do is I'd spend, of the 14 days in that deadline, I'd spend around 12 days getting the script done. And then those last 2 days, which would usually be a weekend because it would fall on like, I want to get it out on Sunday or something, I would usually just spend 1 or 2 days basically editing the video. So the editing is really quick for me, but the scripting takes way too long. Like there's no reason that, for instance, the Mikasa video I made this year should have taken as long as it did. There's no need for research. I don't need to like read like a million chapters like I had to for the Norn video. It purely took as long as it did because I'm just so, not lazy, but I'm like, oh, do I really want to write another paragraph for this like Mikasa video? Like, I don't know. I should just try and make them as long as I can, basically. And the 2-week deadline helps for this, but I think even 2 weeks is way too long for a script to take for most videos. Like there are going to be some that need a lot more research and time and rereading and rewatching, but most of them don't. So I need to be faster on that, basically. My other thing is that I guess I've mentioned this a few times. Deadlines are good for creativity, but not for making videos that others are interested in. So I've said that a few times. Uploading frequently, I've mentioned this as well. So it gives you more chances. The more you upload, the more chances for success. The ordinary Ari clips with 1,000 views are what's evidence of that. Targeting currently airing series is a must. I've also mentioned that. And this is something I teased a bit earlier, but my current channel banner says like I make videos about things I'm interested in. Now, so far, all I've made is videos about media. At least on Elite Ari, just media stuff. Excuse me. And I think I want to stick to that. Jesus, excuse me. Yeah. Because it works well. You know, there are some of my videos about media that people have enjoyed. I enjoy making them. Making things about stuff like AI and like VR and stuff I'm more passionate about as well. It's a bit daunting because let's talk about AI, I guess. I could make an AI video, but the issue is that I'm more accountable for those videos. If I make mistakes in those videos, there are more consequences. And not like that. Actually, it's not really consequences. It's like I feel bad because I shouldn't be making any mistakes in those videos because I'm well informed on those things. So I kind of feel bad about making videos like that where I could potentially make mistakes. Whereas in these ones, the media analysis things, there is no right and wrong. And I truly I don't feel like even if I say something dumb, it doesn't reflect on me as a person, and it's not harming anyone by making mistakes there. Whereas if I make things about AI and I get something wrong, I'd feel really bad about it. So I think I'm mainly going to focus on media stuff basically, rather than any science or like virtual reality or AI stuff. That's currently what I'm thinking. So yeah, that's my reflection, my statistics, my reflections, my thoughts. Now looking to next year. So next year is a big year. For the first time in 4 years, the future is very uncertain, is what I've and that's because my PhD is finishing. So I started in 2020, February, and I'll probably be finishing my PhD in February in 2024. And I'm going to be very busy until then. I have 2 papers that I need to get published, which is going to take quite a while. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to be very busy. Now, when the PhD is done, then I have to get a job. And getting a job potentially means moving overseas. But regardless, it's going to mean moving houses and just changing life situations completely. I'm going to go from having or setting my own hours with my PhD where I can work whenever I want, whatever I want, at whatever time I want, to basically having a job and having to have a strict schedule where I'm working and not working. And I'm almost certainly going to be having less free time because I can't manage my own time because I'm working for someone else rather than myself. So yeah. It's very difficult now in this section where I'm going to be talking about 2024 things like predictions and like goals and stuff. It's very tough because my life is going to be changing a lot next year. And it's going to be very hard to predict what it's going to be like basically for YouTube. But I'm still going to my goal is still to be making a bunch of content, but we'll see. You know, things can change very quickly next year. So I only have 3 goals this year, you know, with all that in mind, with the uncertainty and everything. I have 3 things that I think I can achieve at least, which is I want at least 10 scripted videos. So this year I made 11, last year I made like 13 or something. This year I think 10 is my goal. And in total, I want them to be at least 90 minutes in total. So this year I only made around 60 minutes. The year before I made 3 hours. This year I want to try and get 10 videos. And if you sum up all their video lengths, I want at least 90 minutes. So that's my first goal. And then I have 2 types of videos that I want to make, like as goals. One is a scripted Vinland Saga manga video. So ever since I read Vinland Saga, I've had like a million things that I want to make videos on, but I never truly feel the passion to actually make the video. This year, I want to actually make a Vinland Saga video and I want to get it out there, right? Excuse me. The next thing is I've had a video that I've been researching and I'm very passionate about at the moment. I want to make a video about Studio Mappa because there's a lot of discourse surrounding Mappa, a lot of very poor quality discourse in my opinion. And I'm very passionate about making a video concerning Mappa. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be yet, but this is also something I want to do this year or next year, I guess. Yeah. Now the goals that are out of my control. So I have a nice graph here for my number of subscribers so far for Elite Ari. I want to try and get 3,500 by the end of next year, which roughly will take me getting around 250,000 views in total next year. Now this isn't just like new videos that get 250,000 views. This is also including get my water bottle. This is also including videos that are already published that are still going to be accumulating views. So yeah, I need 250,000 from those, and I need 20,000 from Ordinary Ari. But I think this is very achievable, which will get me to 400 subscribers for that. And then 100 Twitter followers is my goal on Twitter, which I have absolutely no control over. I have no idea how I would even accomplish that. But yeah, so in terms of like, how did I get this 3,500 number? That's from this graph here, which if you take the slope from like the average basically from January of 2022 to like December 2023, and you take that slope, you get the nice blue line here. if you take like the really steep slope here, then you get the green line. And if you take the, I think the 2022 slope or something, you get the nice, whatever this is, pink line. And I thought, you know what? Let's not go for the really low end here, which I'm almost certainly going to hit. Let's not go for the high end that I'm almost certainly not going to hit. Let's go for the nice middle round here, right? Which is around 3,500 subs. If I get a nice average performance this year compared to the last 2 years, hopefully I will get there. So that's my goal. All right. Then I have things that I certainly will be doing next year. And these are kind of interesting. So the first one, I'm going to continue the monthly digest and the media list on Twitter. Those are great. Now, maybe I'll have some changes to the way I do those things, but I'll talk about that when I get to my December digest, or like if I do like a roundup of the 2023 digest summaries or something, maybe I'll talk about it there. Now, this is a big thing for, I guess, if anyone is watching right now. These streams are going to be moving to Elite Ari. Now, what it's going to be like, I mean, basically what I've come to the conclusion that there's no no disadvantage to moving them to Elite Ari. There's only advantages. I'm monetized there. There's a larger subscriber base. People are seeing the videos that I make there, and they'll be able to, if they're interested in the things I say there, then they can find me more easily if I'm on that same channel. It's just benefits basically all around. And I can still upload the actual segments and like even just maybe even long parts of streams that have been edited slightly with a nice thumbnail and title. I'll still be uploading those to this channel, to Ordinary Ari. But I think I will be streaming from Elite Ari going forward. Now the way that's going to work, not to annoy my subscribers there who aren't there for my unscripted content, they're only there for my scripted stuff. Firstly, who cares? You know, there's only 2,000 of them. You know, it's not that many compared to the number of views I get. But you know, I don't want to annoy them too greatly and make them unsubscribe. So I'm going to be, whenever I stream, the stream is going to be public as it is now. People see it on their nice homepage. They'll get the nice notifications they always do. But then after the stream is done, it's going to be unlisted and it's going to be added to a public playlist that I'll probably put on both channels just if anyone wants to watch it. So if you want to watch streams after they're finished, you still can. Absolutely. They would just be in a public playlist so that it doesn't annoy people by having it in their subscription feed or in their main like homepage. So yeah, that's my goal for my streams next year basically. And I'll probably start this, I don't know if it'll be next stream, but basically before next year I'm going to be moving them to Elite Ari. Next thing is I have a few things that I'm going to be doing content wise. Some of these are very predictable. So the Vinland Saga manga discussion with Kyle and Bacon, we're going to be doing that. The Chainsaw Man manga discussions, which are weekly with Kyle Entertainment, we're going to be doing that. And that's on Kyle's channel, Secondary ENT, instead of my channel. Excuse me. So are the Vinland Saga things, that's on Secondary ENT. Jesus. Then we're going to be doing Mushoku Tensei Season 2 when that comes back. So Season 2 Kurtu, and hopefully that'll be with Kyle and Bacon again. And then finally, we're going to be reading the Jujutsu Kaisen manga. So as soon as Season 2 is done, I'm going to start that. And hopefully Bacon will be on that as well if he is still up for it by the time we get to it. Another thing will be utilizing the website, eliteari.com, utilizing that more. Now, I haven't used it yet currently. All I really have at the moment, if you go to that website, is like my media list of like things that I'm interested in watching that are coming up and things that people have suggested for me to watch, basically. And it's for me to keep track of it and other people to see what other people have suggested. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to use it yet, but I will be working on that this year to try and think of some more ways to kind of make that useful or like useful for people to go to and see. But yeah. Now, the final thing, and maybe the biggest thing, well, I feel like the moving streams thing is big, but yeah, big thing here is also I will be doing some type of support-based monetization. So whether that's Patreon or YouTube members, or maybe both, potentially. Yeah, which I mean, if you're familiar with other channels, you probably know generally what they do, which they like shout out people in their videos and stuff, which I'm not interested in. I will not be using that as a tier because I don't find that very interesting. Or maybe I could be convinced, but I'm not too convinced. The things I'm thinking of are number one, before I say what I'm interested in, which you can read here if you want. But firstly, I'm a very small channel. So basically, if anyone is going to like give me money, like with Patreon or YouTube members, it's going to be someone who doesn't really want anything in return, is what I'm guessing. It'll be people who just want to support me because they like my videos or something. And there's not really much I can give as a small channel. Like for instance, the thing I put here, which is like access to a Discord text channel. Like who's really going to care about that? Like I've got 5 people in my Discord, and I'm sure if I had a text channel, no one's going to use it anyway. So like, why would you subscribe to my Patreon or something to get access to a Discord channel? You know, I find it pretty like it's a nothing. It's just like a placeholder to give them something, even though they're probably not there for a reward anyway, is kind of what I'm taking. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if I end up getting much more like subscribers and views and everything, maybe then I can revamp this to be something actually useful. But for now, like this is currently what I'm thinking, which is number one, voting for what I consume next. So this is interesting if you enjoy my like media digest stuff, or if you want me to like consume things so I can make videos about them. I feel like this is somewhat of an interesting thing. Like it'll give people more of a say over what I watch. Like currently you can suggest things to me to watch, but the ultimate choice of what I watch is up to me. But I feel like if I do a poll or something, where I'm like, I give them like 4 options, which I'm happy to watch any of those 4. Pick which one you want me to watch. I don't know, it could be, people could like that. That's one thing. Access to a Discord text channel. I don't know, maybe some people would enjoy it. I'm currently like, I don't have one because I'm like, I don't know how to like moderate and stuff. But if I have people paying for stuff that they want to like a text channel for, then they kind of have to moderate themselves because they're paying for it. And if they mess up, then they know that they're paying and they're going to get kicked out or whatever. So it's a self-moderation kind of thing, which I think would work well. But who's going to care about that is basically my take on it. So I have no idea. Now there's 2 other things which are interesting. Let's talk about the last one here, access to live discussions. This is like, I don't know who, again, because I'm so small and there's going to be no one who subscribes to this Patreon. It'll be like maybe like 3 people or something that would subscribe to this. So there's really no benefit. But when I record discussions with other people for like, say, Mushoku Tensei episodes, or if I'm talking about like the latest chapter of like some manga that we're reading, like Jujutsu Kaisen or something, now I could live stream those reactions. And I could make it like a Patreon or YouTube members exclusive, where I'm like, whenever I'm debating or discussing a chapter with someone, I could have it live and only members could see it or something. So maybe that's like a potential thing, potential benefit. And this is the most extreme one here, all right? I put maybe reaction videos. Because I know that if I was watching, like for instance, I'm a massive Kai Entertainment fan, right? If he were to do reaction videos, I would love it. Like I would become a Patreon for him for reaction videos. Or basically any, like even Shabes or something. Like if he was Shabes to start like a reaction video, to a reaction channel or something, I would love it. I'd probably become a Patreon to him. So maybe if I start doing reaction videos, maybe people would be interested in that. And that would be like an interesting Patreon benefit. Or maybe I could even just, well, no, I was going to say maybe I could start a reaction channel, but I'm honestly not passionate about making, like I'm not really a reaction person. Like I'm not good at it. I don't think it's particularly too interesting for me to actually do it, but maybe some people would get some value from it and I could make it like a Patreon or YouTube members thing. But then again, I'm also scared about copyright strikes and stuff. So maybe we'll scratch off this reaction videos thing, but who knows? I'm open to it. All right. I think this is like the last slide, maybe not. There's a few things I'm considering trying. One is dual streaming. So this stream that I'm currently on to TikTok is potentially interesting because I feel like there isn't too much of content like this where it's like reacting to videos and like commenting on like media stuff that's on TikTok live. And there's a massive audience there for stuff. So potentially I could do that. Now this all comes down to if it's easy to do, if it's like no effort and all I can do is just like put an extra thing in OBS and like stream to both places. Maybe I'll do that. Something I'm considering. The other thing, which I've mentioned a few times throughout this year, throughout my stream, is reaching out to other communities and small creatives to talk on stream. Now, one of the most recent ones would be someone like Munko Man, who I've had issues with his video, and I really like him as a creator, so maybe I could like talk to him on stream about stuff. Or basically, there's like a whole industry, not industry, it's like a whole like number of channels out there that are relatively small, like my size, that make really interesting videos that I'd like to talk to them about. And we have common interests. So I feel like there's a lot of people that I could reach out to. And it benefits me in like many ways. One, I get to talk to cool people, interesting people with channels. 2, I get to build like community, like I get to interact with their community and they get to interact with mine. And I get to make friends with these people, not necessarily friends, but I get to know them, which is interesting. And I can reach out to them for future things. And I think this is very valuable to reaching out to other communities and small creators. And the final thing here I think I'm considering is Twitter Premium or X Premium or whatever. I got no idea if it's valuable. I currently don't have it because I don't have an income at the moment besides YouTube. So I didn't want to kind of waste money on something that if it's not worth it. But I don't know, maybe I'll try it next year. If I have an actual job and I have money, I can try it out. Maybe I'll get more impressions and more followers or something. Who knows? But yeah, is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right. Amazing. The other thing here is a thumbnail tier list, which I did the other day. So it's just, I don't know, have a look at this. You can pause it. You can zoom in if you want. Can I like click this? Will it zoom in? Yeah, there you go. There's the nice zoom, slightly more zoomed in version. I don't know. I made a bunch of thumbnails this year, basically, and here it is. There's a whole video on this if you want to go have a look. It's on this channel, but yeah. And now we go to the video tier list, which was recorded earlier. So see you then. All right, now we're going to be reacting to videos. So I've made not too many. I think it's 11 videos. You would have seen this in the statistics that I just showed you, but believe it or not, I'm recording this on a different day. So the first video, 28 details in the final chapter of Attack on Titan with a beautiful AI generated thumbnail 11 months ago, less than 1,000 views. Let's see. Is there anything I should talk about? I guess the concept of this video, I don't really have much to say about it. It was pretty straightforward. I got access to, when I say I got access, I found online the draft chapters and there were like a few details there. And I had this long list. Basically, my first video I ever made was about, what was it? Eren's like some precious memory he had. And I had a bunch of, there's just details in chapter 139 that I thought were interesting that I'd compiled throughout like that video and the Ymir video and all this stuff. And I thought, you know, let's just put this all in one video because I'm fairly sure that like there's at least some, I don't feel like anyone who's seeing this, I doubt you've heard of every single one of these. It would be crazy if you had, but maybe there is someone. But anyway, let's react to this. 1.5 speed.
A lot of details in the final chapter.
God, and the Chainsaw Man music. Oh, what a great
There's a lot
video.
of details in the final chapter.
Oh wait, I need to also a tier list up. Let's clear this.
There's a lot of details in the final chapter of Attack on Titan, and being the giant Attack on Titan.
Oh, and I had a nice confrontational intro here where I'm like, are you going to notice them all or whatever? I guess we'll see.
Fan you claim to be. You probably think you've noticed them all, and have got nothing to learn from me, so I'm going to put you to
And again, I'm using the same animated panel that I used in the 139 chapter
the test and blast through every detail I picked up, and you can tell me if you happen to catch them all, or if in reality you actually...
Oh my god, I'm pausing so much, but another important thing to point out is that this was my first video where I had a 2-week deadline. So this has very bare bones editing here. Like this is using animated panels from previous videos. I don't think I animated anything newly, except for, I'll point it out when we get to it, but there was some stuff where I had like an extra like hour or so, and I'm like, let me just quickly animate some stuff. But other than that, it's very straightforward.
They suck. The chapter opens with a conversation between Armin and Eren that doesn't take place after the events of the previous chapter. The conversation actually happens right after the famous freedom.
Like this, like look how simple of an edit this is. You just cut the foreground from the background, you animate it, like easy. And it's like, why not just put it?
Panel in chapter 131, when Eren, eager to get his friend's confirmation that they've truly achieved their childhood dream of freedom, drags the bloodstained Armin into paths, and so begins the conversation withheld until the final chapter. Eren and Armin don't just appear as kids for no reason, and the place that this conversation happens at isn't just a random location inside the walls. It's the exact patch of grass where Armin showed Eren his book about the outside world all those years ago. I like to call this Eren's most precious memory, appearing in chapters 4, 10, 14, 73, 121, 31, and probably a bunch of others. It's the place he would go to stare at clouds as a kid, the place where he first learned about the outside world from Armin's book, and the place where he first became aware of his innate desire for freedom. And now in the final chapter, he returns to it one final time. As the chapter goes on, Eren and Armin, via Eren's control over paths, explore the places where they had always vowed to explore as kids. Burning waters, lands of ice, and a giant saltwater lake called the sea. And not only do they visit these places, but they both grow up as the conversation goes on. And on arriving at the sea, they are standing apart from each other, symbolizing the distance that grew between them ever since the return to Shiganshina arc, and learning about society outside the walls.
I guess another interesting thing to point out is that now that the anime is done, a few of these are like, clearly they didn't really care about this when they were adapting it. Oh, and them standing further apart is one of those things, like they didn't really care about it.
We get a few panels of the day that Eren received his name from Grisha. We're also shown that on that same day, Grisha told baby Eren that he is free, suggesting that Eren's desire for freedom may have been ingrained in him since birth. This isn't so much of a detail as it is an interpretation, so the real detail is actually concerning this panel right here. So the final chapter of Attack on Titan came out on the 8th of April 2021, but almost 3 years earlier, Isayama had already drawn this panel, with it being shown in a 2018 documentary where the narrator claimed that this was the final scene that Isayama envisioned for the entire manga. And 3 years later, the panel finally shows up in chapter 139, but doesn't end up being the final panel. But it certainly is important, highlighting the ironic oxymoron of Eren being a slave since birth to the pursuit of freedom. The anime also seems to agree as to the importance of this panel, introducing it much earlier in the story, in the season 4 episode, Memories of the Future. While talking with Eren, Armin finds the shell of the original...
I think it is the fact that I'm using the same music throughout this whole thing. I think it's somewhat engaging. I don't know why. Like if I was to change up the music every now and then, I don't think it would be as engaging. So I think that works well.
...found at their first time at the sea in chapter 90, the shell that symbolized the rift that had developed between he and Eren. In chapter 90, Eren ignores Armin's excitement about the shell, but in 139, Armin offers it to Eren and he accepts it, with a sad and regretful expression, as though he regretted having not accepted it those many years ago. In essence, the passing over of this shell shows that these two friends have come to finally understand each other once more. The markings on Eren's face that appear right as his conversation with Armin comes to a close are just like the markings that appear at the end of Mikasa's fantasy in 138. This suggests that the fantasy was no fantasy at all, and was caused by Eren dragging Mikasa into a paths vision like he did to Armin in 131. In Eren's final words to Armin, he says that humanity will be saved by you, Armin. This is a callback to chapter 84, Midnight Sun, where Eren is pleading for Levi to save the burnt Armin. It's not me or the commander who's going to save humanity, it's Armin. Annie refers to Eren as a suicidal blockhead. This was a common nickname used for Eren by the 104th Training Corps, and Annie even uses this verbatim in chapter 31, when she's refusing to enter the tunnel. I doubt a brave suicidal blockhead like you could ever understand the feelings of a feeble maiden like me. While dedicating his heart to his fallen friends, it's easy to miss, but Levi sheds a tear. So it's obvious that Gabi tackles Falcon.
But my mic actually sounds so different here compared to my later ones. But you know what, we'll get to it when we actually get to those later videos.
Here.
I think it's like the actual room. Maybe it's the room, not the room, but like the furniture I had or something might have changed since I recorded this. I don't know.
Ground, you can also see Jean and Connie consoling each other after seeing Sasha for the final time. Secretary Mueller demands that the Eldians prove themselves to be human. Can you prove that to me, right here and now? Are you human or are you Titans? This is a callback all the way back to chapter 10, where Eren, Mikasa, and Armin...
Oh, another one of those simply animated things that actually don't look that good, but it's better than a still panel.
...have been cornered by the garrison after Eren's first transformation in Trust. The captain of the garrison's elite forces demands a response from Eren. I'll ask you plainly, what are you, a man or a Titan? Armin then gives an impassioned speech that ultimately has no impact, but in chapter 139, Armin's speech reaches Mueller, and the Eldians are saved because of it. Ymir appears as an adult for the first time since her death. See my video on Mikasa's headaches if you're interested as to why. The Battle of Heaven and Earth ends with a page of Ymir and Mikasa embracing the ones they loved. But for those of you reading digitally, you may not have noticed that in the volume release, you literally have to turn the page to see a paralleled embrace by Historia of her daughter. It's a neat meta trick to simulate the turning over of a new leaf. And yes, it is Historia's daughter, by the way, not her son like some people thought, at least according to Izuyama's draft of the chapter. The time skip starts with Historia's daughter's 3rd birthday. This means that she was born on the exact day of the Battle of Heaven and Earth. If we win, we live. If we lose, we die. If we don't fight, we can't win. Fight, fight. These words narrated in chapter 139 are a direct callback to what I like to call Eren's mantra. The origin of this mantra is all the way back in chapter 6, where Eren is telling Mikasa that she has to fight the kidnappers that killed her parents. If you don't fight, we're gonna die. If you win, we live. If you don't fight, we can't win. Fight, fight. This gets repeated a few times throughout the story, most notably by Mikasa and Eren at the end of chapter 106. What's interesting about the inclusion of this speech in 139 is that Historia is the one who has written the words that are being spoken. What this implies is open to interpretation. Perhaps she heard this from Mikasa, perhaps from Eren himself, or perhaps it became a common mantra on Paradis following the Jaegerist uprising. The narration wrapping up the story post-time skip is done by Armin reading out Historia's letter. It's not really a manga detail per se, but it's interesting that Armin's the one to give—
Oh, they got rid of this. In the anime, it's just Historia reading out
this narration.
Disappointment.
Considering that he was the one to give the opening narration to the story in the anime. The podium hosting—
God, this was the... Like, I just happened to run into this when I was, like, skimming through the manga at one point. I noticed they were the same, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I'd never noticed this before.
New Paradis military insignia was actually shown back at Historia's coronation, with an essentially identical framing, and even the way the crowd is drawn being extremely similar. There's even a shot of the reporters and Fledgel Reeves in both cases. And what's interesting is that Historia's coronation takes place in chapter 69, literally the halfway point in the entire 139 chapter story of Attack on Titan. The pendulum has done one complete cycle. At the halfway point in the story, we were the ones doing the replacing. And now, right at the end, we've become the ones that were replaced. Rallying at the military—
Oh, Miller the Killer.
Assembly of the
guy.
nation of Eldia's Jaegerist army, one dark-haired, glasses-wearing tall man is cheering louder than anyone else. He is the centerpiece of our attention, an ambassador for highlighting the fanatical nature of the soldiers of the Eldian army. But what if he isn't actually that at all? Back in chapter 125, Shardus gives the following command to the pupils that owe him their lives. Do as the Jaegerists say, don't you disobey them. The likes of you wouldn't be able to protect anyone but yourselves anyway. Stay here and join them, but the day will come for you to rise up. Until then, don't ever lose sight of who you are. But this narrative thread appears to have been completely dropped, right up until the final chapter, where the dark-haired, glasses-wearing, tall Surma, one of the recipients of Shardus' speech, is shown putting on a fanatical act, waiting for his day to rise up in rebellion. Despite the change—
Oh, this is another thing they didn't adapt. God, I was so disappointed.
military insignia with Eldia's Jaegerist uprising, Historia still wears the old military crest on her pendant. On the ship ride to Paradis, John is making sure he is well groomed, as though he wants to make a good impression for someone back on the island. Perhaps he has no one in particular in mind, or perhaps he's thinking of the woman from his dream in 127, a dark-haired woman with a scar under her right eye, a person he has had a crush on since first setting eyes on them. Perhaps he's hoping that one day he could even share his life with that person, having a child or even an extended family. Perhaps this, perhaps that, I guess we'll never know for sure. Gabby and Falco wheel around Uncle Levi,
Another thing that was cut from the
being
anime.
led by Onyonkopon, as they look around in awe of their surroundings. The architecture of the city appears similar to one of the cities shown in chapter 134, and if Izuyama's draft of chapter 139 is to be believed, this location is in fact Onyokopon's homeland. Knowing this adds a new light to Onyokopon's look in these panels, as though he's looking back at Gabby and Falco to see them in awe of the place he calls home. Written language on Paradis is upside-down Japanese katakana.
Goddamn tool shop sign under the bird. Remember that? I don't know if anyone has seen the Great Attack on Titan reread, but me and Kyle had a big debate about whether this is a sign or a bird, and I think he won in the end that it's a sign.
So if you turn Eren's grave upside down, boldify the katakana, convert them to hiragana, and translate the message into English, you get something along the lines of the following. Here forever, drifting asleep, my beloved, 854. It's a cute reference to Eren always falling asleep under the tree on that hill when he was younger. If you're interested in finding out more, check the description for the earliest translation I could find by Twitter user Kazumikasa, as well as a more detailed breakdown of the translation possibilities by Reddit user Evescape. Mikasa is looking at Shiganshina while sitting at the tree on that hill. You can see the crumbled wall.
This was also kind of disappointing they didn't include this. Like, you can't see the crumbled walls. I feel like the crumbled walled visual is like a really striking thing to see, I guess.
That are yet to be removed, even 3 years after the rumbling. With 2 dead parents and a splitting headache, a young girl lies on a cabin floor, cold, alone, and completely empty, until a young boy helps her move on by tugging on her scarf. Many years later, alone once more, sitting under a familiar tree casting a familiar shadow, yet another firm tug of her scarf reminds her of the young boy who gave her the strength to move on those many years ago. He may be gone now, but she will forever be thankful for what he did for her. This final scene is a callback all the way back to chapter 6, and is a perfect way to end the main story of Attack on Titan. For a deeper dive into this, check out Kyle Entertainment's tentative ending video, linked in the description.
Did I actually link it? Oh my god, I did. Oh, I'm so good. Jesus. Oh, and then we go changing to the best song in Chainsaw Man.
In Mikasa's lifetime, the world of Paradis has been modernized, with completely different architecture, cranes, roads, cars, and even electricity to power traffic lights and streetlights. And in an unknown number of years following her death, the entire city has been torn down and completely rebuilt, with hyper-modern skyscrapers and entirely new road layouts. There's stealth bombers in the sky.
Remember when the anime didn't include these stealth bombers and I was so angry? Actually, I don't know if you've got to that yet in the... I don't think Reich hasn't published the part 2. Anyway, you'll see me complain about this, alright? If you watch the part 2 discussion on the Reich 7 anime channel, right?
An anti-aircraft.
Miller's here. He said, "Did I miss the JJK segment?" There is no J. Well, I mean, I can talk after I react to all these videos. I can talk about anything, but this is important. I have to get this done, so I'm treating this as like a YouTube video. But I'll cut this part out when I'm talking to chat and everything, unless it's relevant, to the video. Is this going to be a 10-hour stream? No, I've only published 1 hour of scripted content, and I'm watching at 1.5 speed, so it'll probably be like 40 minutes, probably an hour, honestly. But
missiles mounted. The tree on that hill grows larger as time goes on. If you pay real close attention, you can actually see just how much ridiculously bigger it grows between Mikasa's death and the bombing of Paradis. Just look at these rings around the tree in the first panel versus how tiny they look in the second. We then also get one final time skip, where we see the tree has spread.
You can tell I scripted this before I had the visuals, because the way I talk about how, like, if you look at the ring, it's like, that's the important marker, but I already scaled them in the actual, video to show the scale, so it's like, it's a redundant point, but anyway.
Just look at these rings around the tree in the first panel versus how tiny they look in the second. We then also get one final time skip, where we see the tree has sprouted a forest around it, with a striking...
And I think this was like an error in the editing, because goddamn, whenever you use the crop effect in Premiere, sometimes it just messes up the rendering for some reason, and it's like impossible to tell if it's actually going to render that way, or if it's only when you're looking at it in the playback window, these things are like misaligned or incorrect size. And this is one of those errors, I think, but luckily it's like you could pass it off as like being intentional, so I didn't have to re-export it or anything.
Resemblance to the forest of giant trees back in the female Titan arc. According to the publicly available information at the end of chapter 24, there's a few forests of giant trees both inside and outside the walls. It's certainly interesting that burying the head of the founding Titan...
Yeah, this element I feel like was completely lost in the anime as well. Like the lore element of the Titan forest, I guess, sprouting around the head. I don't know.
Happened to sprout this one. Hopefully every single person listening right now already noticed the final detail in the epilogue, which is that the final panel of Attack on Titan mirrors the one of Ymir at the tree where the Titans were first introduced to the world 2,000 years before Eren's story began. The final volume bonus, Attack on School Casts, also has a few random details. In volume 20...
They're not random, alright?
28, Marco takes his hand off the Ouija board, and as a result gets possessed by the devil. And now he's seen sleeping in the background of the cinema, while occult lover Mikasa, otaku Armin, and nothing in particular Eren, are eating from Colossal Titan branded popcorn boxes, watching the final chapter of the historical fiction series that is Attack on Titan. When they leave the cinema, you can also see an adult Ymir with her 3 daughters. And that's it. Every detail...
What an ending to the manga. They should have had that thing
I could think of that was worth sharing about chapter...
And then I have this snarky ending here that I don't think I'm much of a fan of.
139 of Attack on Titan. How did you do? Did you get them all? Oh, you did? Well, I don't care at all.
It's so cringe. God. I thought I was a genius when I was writing it though, but oh god. Maybe it's just the delivery? I don't know. Oh, we got a few comments. 11 comments, not bad. Heath, popular chatter here. Detail 29, it's bad. True. I think I said it's true. Oh no, someone else said based. All right. Okay, so that was overall. I think that my thoughts on this are that it's, if you're watching this for the first time, it's probably somewhat engaging.
I'm gonna put you
I imagine if you're a avid manga reader, which you probably are if you're seeking out a video like this, you probably know most of these, but I'm almost certain that there are at least 1 or 2 that you probably haven't picked up. So I think it works in that regard. Narration good, editing very minimalistic, not much of a fan of it, but it was for a deadline. I think I nailed the deadline at least. Music good. Overall, it's like, I think it's a solid B tier, probably. Now I need to find the actual thumbnail. All right, B tier. Not bad, but not too amazing or anything like that. All right, next up, Speculative Black Holes, Majin Buu and the Cosmos Fiend. So this is undoubtedly, it has to be my most original idea, I guess. Like, I've had this idea for a very long time about speculative black holes and like how there's these things in stories that like they probably have such a trivial answer, but it sends my mind spiraling and like, is it trivial? Is it not? Like, this could imply so much if it isn't trivial, you know? So I'm very glad that I got this out. And the only reason this video really came out is because I had a 2-week deadline and I was like, I need to come up with something to get out there. Why don't I pull this idea I've had for a while and quickly like script it out and get a video out? This was also the first video where I actually focused on the editing like actually put some effort into it, I guess. And not when I say edit, I guess this is for instance, let me give examples. Like this grain here, you've got like film grain, I don't know what you call it, like film like noise or whatever.
There's something
The static background sound that's going out throughout all of this. The fact that when I say like speculative black holes, it like triples the voice or whatever. Like there's a few editing things like that where I was like, you know what? Let me spice this up a bit, you know, let me try and make it a bit different from my other videos. So that was fun. But anyway.
there's something special about mysteries. Add one to a story and I'm immediately sucked in.
I am a fan of like the way I crop this. I don't know if this was, I think it must have been intentional when I did this, but it looks good, I think.
Give you something to speculate on and keep you on the edge of your seat, trying to piece together the correct answer before it inevitably gets revealed. Sometimes the mystery is omnipresent, the focal point of the narrative. Who committed the murder? What do the aliens want? And sometimes the mysteries are incidental. They certainly exist, but the narrative doesn't revolve around them. For instance, how did the zombie outbreak start? What's inside the doctor's room in the God Complex Hotel? In this video, I want to talk about a very specific type of mystery that I like to call a speculative black hole. A sudden, unexpected mystery that never gets an answer, is never mentioned again, and could be explained away with a trivial answer, or even hand-waved away as having no significance at all, but for some reason feels like a crucial piece of information that implies something profound. It lives carefully in the narrow space between an intentional open-ended mystery and something the author didn't even intend for you to speculate on at all. A true literary black hole, sending your speculative mind spiraling into an endless void.
God, it's so easy to edit this anytime I reference the black hole, because all I do is like show the grain and like have a black background. So
Of possibilities, with a voice deep inside telling you that you're wasting your time on something that in reality almost certainly has such a trivial answer. So clearly this is something quite personal, where the inherent feeling of the answer potentially being important is a key criteria. And I've got two examples that come to mind, but first let's make the criteria very clear. A speculative black hole has to 1. Be a mystery, 2. Come out of nowhere, 3. Be mentioned by the narrative.
I also went back and forth so much about whether I was going to read out the numbers when I was saying this. Like, do I say like 1, be a mystery, or do I just say be a mystery, come out of nowhere? I don't think it comes together okay.
4. Be immediately forgotten by the narrative and never spoken of again. 5. Have no definitive within text answer. And 6. Could be dismissed with a simple answer, but feels like the answer should imply something profound. Super Buu, having absorbed Gotenks and gaining an unbelievable amount of strength, turns his fight with Gohan around and inches closer and closer to a complete victory. Meanwhile, Goku, watching the increasingly hopeless fight from the sacred world of the Kai, is given the opportunity to return to Earth by Old Kai sacrificing his remaining lifespan. But just as Goku is about the instant transmission right into the heart of the battle with Buu, Old Kai throws him a curveball. Potara earrings. The earrings worn by Supreme Kai and their apprentices. Get 2 people to place.
God, it's so cathartic, maybe is the word I'm looking for. To talk about this idea of the Potara earrings and how it's such a unique mystery to me, because I've had this thought like in my mind about why did they defused ever since I was a kid, like when I was like what 6 or 7 years old. Like I've had this idea in my head, and it's so cathartic to actually have it expressed somewhere that other people can see, you know, which is the cool thing about this.
Place them on opposite ears, and they will be fused into a singular, much more powerful being forever. The fusion is permanent. With this knowledge in mind, Goku enters the battle, attempting to fuse with his son Gohan, but he loses that opportunity as Buu absorbs him. And so, Goku is only left with his greatest rival, Vegeta. Tossing and turning over his humiliation at Goku hiding his Super Saiyan 3 form, Vegeta refuses to fuse with Goku. But on learning that Buu has absorbed Bulma and Trunks, and that they are stuck inside his body, not even able to die, Vegeta gives up his pride forever, putting on the Potara earring and voluntarily fusing with Goku for all of time. And thus, Vegito is born, the fusion of the 2 greatest and strongest rivals in the Dragon Ball universe. Their individualities.
I think the music is also important here. Like throughout the entire video, up until we get to Chainsaw Man, I guess, it's all very like tension and mystery, and like it's not like a kind of pleasant, or it's not even like typical anime kind of music, which is what I usually use. It's a bit different, which I think works well.
Sacrificed forever for the sake of something beyond themselves. And when I was but a child, this was one of the most impactful sacrifices I'd ever seen in a story. And yet, when Vegito is eventually absorbed by Buu and enters the magical dimension that is Majin Buu's body, the fusion is undone and Goku and Vegeta regain their individuality. In the English dub, which is all I ever knew, we get no explanation for this defusing whatsoever. After this, the mystery of why they defused is never brought up again for the rest of Dragon Ball Z, but boy did it leave an impact on me, forever lost in the spiral of whether it's just a pointless plot convenience orchestrated to bring back the stars of the show, or whether it implies something deeper. Perhaps it says something about different laws for magical and physical dimensions of the Dragon Ball universe. If permanent fusion can be undone when transitioning from one to the other, what else could this dimensional transfer induce? If Potara earring fusion is only possible in the physical world, then are there things that are only possible in this magical world? Or maybe the diffusing implies some connection between the magic used by Bibidi and the power of the Supreme Kais. Maybe it implies something about Bibidi's upbringing and where his skill with magic came from. But yes, this is all baseless and pointless, and most will probably say absurdly ridiculous speculation, but when the mystery first presented itself to me, this was the type of speculation that flooded my mind. Is the answer trivial, or is it profound? I'll never know, but it's the fact that it feels like it has an important answer, even though it probably doesn't, that makes this a speculative black hole. So let's recap. 1. We have a mystery. 2. It comes out of nowhere. 3. It's mentioned by the narrative. 4. It's never spoken of again. 5. It has no definitive within text answer. And 6. It could be dismissed as being something simple, or it could be hinting at something greater. Benji uses his—
Oh, and this was very fun to have. Like, I just finished Chainsaw Man, so I was very glad to actually get a video mentioning Chainsaw Man right after finishing it, so that was fun.
shining power to defeat Santa Claus, a masterful
Oh
assassin.
god, I need to make like an actual Chainsaw Man video.
that was powered up by flesh from the darkness devil itself. But as her body is decaying...
Oh, you know what's a bit disappointing here? I edited this fancy panel. I was like, oh, this looks good. And then I saw the actual, like, whatever, the manga volume release trailer, and they animated this panel as well, and they made it look so much better than I did, but yeah.
Assassin that was powered up by flesh from the darkness devil itself. But as her body is decaying away, she gives a maniacal speech about how she will not die as her dolls will live on and return to kill Denji again and again. And then, out of nowhere, Quan Chi decapitates Denji and orders the Cosmos Fiend to give Santa Claus the all-out Halloween treatment. Using her Halloween Kamehameha, Cosmo casts Santa Claus into a cosmic library containing all knowledge of everything in the universe. Cosmo then gives Santa Claus one final harrowing message. All of the contents of all of the books in this library are about to flow into your mind. Once you understand everything, you can only think of Halloween until you die. We then flash to the real world, and all Santa Claus can do is spout the word Halloween over and over, and the Halloween mystery is never brought up again. A new speculative black hole. Why is it that when a person acquires total understanding of everything in the universe, all they can think of is Halloween? Of course, we could dismiss this as a simple narrative gag, or just a familiar quirk of the way Fujimoto weaves absurdity into Chainsaw Man. However, at least to me, it feels like something greater. To forever think of Halloween once acquiring universal knowledge...
God, the Santa Claus looks just low resolution here, don't they? But there's no way around it. I think they look like that in the original, like the actual manga.
Is claimed to be an absolute certainty. Perhaps what it means to be human in the Chainsaw Man universe is not to be at the current point in some evolutionary path.
It's kind of cool. You can't see the mistakes, because there are mistakes in this repeated background. I can't see them for some reason. Wait, let's...
Is not to be at the current point in some evolutionary path, or to have a set of common traits stemming from a certain range of genomes, but rather, to be human is to speak Halloween once all knowledge is understood.
Actually, yeah, I didn't see anything, because these are like the overlapped images, and I remember when I was tracking them for the rotation, some of the shelves didn't overlap, but I guess I, like, did a good job here. Damn.
Or maybe those trapped to think Halloween for all eternity are trying to warn those unaware of an impending doom that they just can't quite articulate due to being stricken by a certain kind of stutter that having too much knowledge has forced upon them. So yes, I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek with some pretty absurd examples of speculation, but I hope you get the idea. The Halloween mystery could certainly be answered with something trivial, but to me, it gives me a strong feeling that there's a far more profound answer somewhere deep in the speculative black hole. So let's recap one final time. 1. We have a mystery. 2. It comes out of nowhere. 3. It's mentioned by the narrative. 4. It's never spoken of again. 5. It has no definitive within text answer. And 6. It could be dismissed as being something simple, or could be hinting at something great.
I think there's a few things to point out. One is that the music I'm using here, I think it's like a song I've been wanting to use for quite a while, up until this video, I guess, which is like from Legion. And I was like, okay, I finally have a use to actually put this to, and I think it worked well. The other thing was about how I animated these panels, I think before I finished the script, because I knew that I wanted to make a video on Halloween, but I didn't quite know that I wanted to fit it into this kind of video, but yeah, anyway.
Now obviously I'm no English major or anything, so speculative black holes are just a fun term I thought I'd throw out there. I'm sure I'm just overcomplicating something really obvious and simple, and I'm sure someone will point this out to me, but
no one has in the comments, alright?
Nonetheless, I'm trying to make a video every 2 weeks, so here you go. And yes, by the way, I do know we actually get an answer to Vegeta coming undone in Dragon Ball Super, but it came out 20 years later and is in no way considered part of my personal canon. Dragon Ball GT for life.
True, so true. God. So this, I really like this video. I think this is probably one of the best that I've made this year. I think the issue is that there's just no way to, like, what is the target audience for this? Like, who's gonna watch this? Like, it's not really, like, there's not enough here for Dragon Ball fans. There's not enough here for Chainsaw Man fans. I'm sure there's, like, who would possibly want to look up, like, some literary term that I've, like, pseudo invented, which is speculative black holes. Like, there is really nowhere I could, like, promote this that would be interested in this, so I think that's why it's doomed to fail and be my least viewed video, I think, or second least viewed. Yeah, I wish more people would see this. But anyway, where is this? I think this is, it's a borderline between A and S. I truly don't remember if there is, like, what, I guess we'll put it in S for now, because I think it is really good, but we'll see if anything else tops it, because there are quite a few I like this year. Anyway, next one. So this was when AI voices started being a thing, and I thought, you know what, I gotta make a video every 2 weeks. Let me do like a little low effort one and focus on like making this trailer, but using AI voices for dubs or whatever. And I can like animate the scene that I'm looking forward to, which is like the scene from chapter 133 about Eren saying goodbye to his friends, kind of. And yeah, that's how this video came about. Anyway, let's watch it.
I won't stop the rumbling.
So AI voices. AI voices since this video have come a long way. I could probably make a much better video these days, but this is what was available 10 months ago.
I won't leave the future of parody to fate. I'll keep moving forward. To hold freedom in my own hands, I must take freedom from the rest of the world. But I won't take anything from you. You are all free. You are even free to defend the freedom of the rest of the world. And I have the freedom to continue moving forward. So long as we have our own unbreakable convictions, we will collide. So only one thing remains for us to do. Fight.
I think that, like, this animated bit looks really cool.
So only one thing remains for us to do. Fight.
Then why, Eren?
This as well, I think this is probably the best shot. This might be the best thing I've ever animated. It looks really cool.
Why, Eren? Why'd you call us here?
So I could speak to you and tell you there's no need for us to speak. If you wish to stop me from doing this, you'll have to stop me from breathing. You are free to try.
That was a video I made this year. I think this purely, like I said at the beginning, purely came out because I had a time crunch, and I was like, let me just make this. I don't know, people seem to like it. I like some of the animated things I made. I guess if anyone was to watch this, it would kind of be, you'd probably see it as a trailer, I guess, for the upcoming stuff. That's really what it serves as. Like, there's no analysis, there's no like interesting things, I guess. It's just like a trailer, but a cool-ish trailer. What is the thumbnail again? What was this? Eren's Goodbye. This one. This is one of the worst ones I made this year. I'll put it in D tier. The way I'm the only viewer, true. I'm not expecting anyone to be here. Because this is purely intended as a YouTube video, but I thought, hey, I might as well stream. You never know who shows up. And Spawn Zorko showed up. Anyway, who knows? After this, I'll probably continue streaming, or if we get done on time. Alright, so we're getting there. Look at this, we're almost done. Next up, bursts of emotion in My Hero Academia. So I truly don't remember what led to the creation of this. Maybe I had a thumbnail first and I thought this is interesting. I've always liked this scene a lot. Maybe I watched like a reaction video and I was like, oh, this is such a good scene, let me make a video about it. Yeah, and I think I'm decently still in the 2-week deadline here. Like, I think I met it. But this, or I mean, I think I missed it, but it was because I traveled overseas and I was like, okay, that's like a justification for missing it. You know, I'm in a new environment, like picking up a new job and everything. Crazy. Anyway, let's see what this video is about.
So here's what happens with My Hero
Why did that cut off?
So here's what happens with My Hero Academia. I'll be watching an episode and be mildly entertained when out of nowhere something happens that grips me by the heart and makes me shed a tear. Whether it be Uraraka calling her dad to talk about her loss in the sports festival, Kirishima yelling out to Bakugo to take his hand and Bakugo unquestioningly accepting it, or Kaminari saving everyone by imagining that he's protecting what is most dear to his heart. My Hero Academia does bursts of emotion really well, but above all others shines one scene that did it best. Tsu's confession to her friends.
Oh god, that's a thing. Like, this is all at the cost of that 2-week deadline, which is that, to me, this is completely awkward scripting here, where the point, at least if I was to make this again today, I would not be mentioning what the scene is. I'd leave it in, I mean, it's not suspense, because you know what it is from the thumbnail, but, like, mentioning, look at it, wait, let's play it again, wait.
Or Kaminari saving everyone by imagining that he's protecting what is most dear to his heart. My Hero Academia does bursts of emotion really well, but above all others shines one scene that did it best.
I should cut it there and then go into it, instead of like revealing the answer straight away and being like, Tsu's confession at the end of whatever, blah, 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 you know? Anyway.
Tsu's confession to her friends after the Battle of Kamino Ward. During the disastrous invasion of the summer training camp by the League of Villains.
I'm not crying right now, alright? My eye is like in pain for some reason, alright? I'm not crying. I would never cry at My Hero Academia, God.
Bakugo was captured and many students were hospitalized.
Except for this scene, of course.
Regrouping in the hospital, spurred on by Kirishima, the students debate what...
This was the first video where I tried to use ChatGPT to generate this recap, and I realized it's not very good at recapping stories, but maybe these days it would be with GPT-4, but anyway.
What to do. Tsuyu Asobi warns her friends that if they go out...
So, to clarify, I tried it, didn't work, so I wrote this myself, so this is actually all written. Anyway, Heath is dabbing. I didn't say Heath is here, did you notice? I said Heath is dabbing. Anyway, perfect. Ari, catch up, it's almost over. Hello? Wait a minute.
Out and safe.
That was weird, my headphones cut out for a second. I'm assuming you're talking about My Hero Academia? I should catch up, honestly. I enjoyed reading that. Like, I like the story. I was saying I guess I enjoy reading it, in batches, or I don't know.
They go out and save Bakugo on their own, they would be breaking the law and acting like villains rather than heroes. Despite Tsu's warning, Kirishima, Shoto, Momo, Deku, and even Ida decide to take matters into their own hands and launch a covert rescue mission to save Bakugo. In part thanks to their efforts, the rescue mission is successful and Bakugo is saved. The students then move into their new dorms, which were built for their safety following the attack at the training camp, and as a bit of fun to counter the recent dark events, they hold a contest to see whose dorm setup is the best. However, Tsu is nowhere to be seen, as she hides away in her room and doesn't participate. But at the end of the contest, she's waiting outside, and tells her friends about feelings that she had been bottling up inside. From Tsu's perspective of recent events, she thought she'd gone through to her friends and stopped them from being law-breaking vigilantes by telling them that such actions would make them villainous. She realized her words.
I truly wonder, when I'm editing these things, do people notice the music repeats? Or is that purely because I'm the one editing this and I know that I repeated it intentionally?
Events. She thought she'd gone through to her friends and stopped them from being law-breaking vigilantes by telling them that such actions would make them villainous. She realized her words were harsh, but it was worth it to stop her friends from doing.
God, these are the easiest videos to make, where it's like, I have a way that I read a certain scene, and I just want to clarify it. So there's no like weird, like fancy way of saying things. There's no analysis, like in-depth analysis or anything. It's literally just me trying to convey in as clear a manner as I can what I took from a scene. because I know that there's some people who just saw this scene and didn't think twice about it. So I'm like, let me just clarify what I mean. Clarification is so easy. There's no like synthesis of various ideas from across the entire series or anything like that. It's just like a nice, easy way to convey things. It doesn't make for the most engaging video. Like there's 3 comments, but it's just so easy, and it's like kind of cathartic as well to kind of get these ideas across.
Doing something that they would regret. But in reality, they went ahead with the mission anyway, and she had no idea at all. And when she eventually did find out, it was indirectly through Mr. Aizawa, who chastised the entire class for not trying to stop the group who saved Bakugo, which of course in reality, she did try to do. So on learning this, she has a flood of emotions. On one hand, she feels incapable as a person and a friend, because she wasn't able to stop them.
I thought I'd stopped you, but it turns out I was worthless, a complete failure, and suddenly I had no idea what to say.
It's incredibly sad.
God, look at that. Did you guys hear that seamless transition to the dub soundtrack, or dub all the way from the video here? Because I had to cut out the background music from the actual dub clip, insert the actual music from the video, so that it would nicely, seamlessly transition and it wouldn't feel awkward. And I think I played that off very well. It worked.
Stop the group who saved Bakugo, which of course in reality, she did try to do. So on learning this, she has a flood of emotions. On one hand, she feels incapable as a person and a friend, because she wasn't able to stop them.
I thought I'd stopped you, but it turns out I was worthless, a complete failure, and suddenly I had no idea what to say.
It's incredibly sad to hear her think of herself as a failure, but it's made even worse by the fact that she thought she did stop her friends. So when she found out that her friends went along with their plan anyway, there was a great disconnect between what she thought her friends were thinking and what they actually were. They valued her input less than she thought. It's a big reality shock for her, and it's incredibly sad. At the same time, she feels ashamed and broken by what her friends must have thought of her. They risked their lives for Bakugo, and must have hated her for thinking of them as villains, when in reality, she didn't mean it that way at all.
My heart was hurting, and the things I said must have
God,
upset you.
another seamless transition. Ari Hatch is almost over. It was almost over like a year ago, I swear. True. Yeah, people were complaining it was wrapping up too quickly. It has a fight and a half left now, though. Well, that's what you think, Miller, all right? Until a plot twist happens and there's another arc to come, and who knows. I reckon it'll finish before JJK. Well, I guess we'll see. Dub. True, the My Hero Academia dub is so good. I love it so much.
This mix of emotions made her feel so bad that she felt it was wrong to have fun with her friends, and stayed in her room rather than taking part in the dorm room contest. But all this did was make her feel even worse, so she finally decided to confront them about it.
And the music repeats once more.
It made me so sad to be without you. That's why I wanted to talk, even if I'm still not sure how I'm supposed to be feeling. I wanted you to know so we can hang out and talk and have a good time.
There's so much sad stuff going on with this particular aspect of the scene. There's the fact that she had been silently suffering for a while, and that none of her friends had even noticed. There's the self-imposed punishment aspect, where she feels like she's such a bad person that she doesn't deserve to have fun. And there's the incredible level of maturity in confronting her friends about it, and letting her feelings be known, even if she isn't even aware of exactly what she's feeling. It's infinitely better than bottling it up forever and building up a resentment for her friends or herself. So Tsu explains all these feelings to her friends, and they all comfort each other, exchange forgiveness and apologies, and have a nice healthy group crying session to let it all out, and it's perfect. But putting aside the content of the scene completely, what really captures my heart is the fact that this entire situation is incredibly trivial. She's making a big deal out of something that isn't a big deal at all. By suggesting her friends might be acting like villains, all she did was say something slightly disheartening to them, and they didn't even take it to heart at all. But to her, her harsh words became her entire world, and it's so sad and cute and perfect, and is one of those sudden bursts of emotion that My Hero Academia does so well.
Look at that. Nice fade out transition. Anyway, that was good. Nice and straightforward. I got to talk about a scene that I like a lot and that a lot of people don't really care about, and some people don't like at all. I'm gonna give that is it an A or a B? I think it's a B tier. It's perfectly, it was a good video, you know. Nothing too crazy, but it was pretty good. Oh boy. All right, a god tier animation with cool music. All right, let's watch this. This is barely a video. This is another victim of me trying to get a video out every 2 weeks. I mean, it's not really a victim thing. It's either this or I publish nothing. So I thought this is better than nothing. And it's also fun to compile my favorite like animated scenes in media, but let's go. God, this is a bit too fast. Watch this. Let's watch this in slow motion, right? My God, or normal speed. God, that scene in Chainsaw Man is so cool. Look at, anyway, I'm not going to keep pausing. Let's watch this. God, that mob's so... Anyway, let's go. Oh, and the greatest scene in all of anime. Orsted versus Ruijerd. God, the dimming and ghosting makes this scene look so bad. Like, my attempt to correct it here was terrible. God. Anyway. Look at how cool Gojo is. Jesus. One of the coolest shots in JJK. Well, that was fun. The the craziest thing about this video is how much new footage would be in this purely from Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. It's insane. There's so many cool Sakuga moments from season 2 that just obviously didn't exist at this point. Anyway, I think that's like it's a nice D tier video, right? It's really nothing good to it, but I enjoyed watching it. I mean, you know what? I'm bumping it up to C tier because this one's kind of basically just a trailer. In this one, I had a nice like compilation of my favorite things. I enjoy rewatching this because this is like just like the greatest hits of anime, at least to me personally, right? Maybe other people wouldn't like this video, but I like it a lot just because of that. And when I say I like it a lot, I like it enough to put it in C tier. Anyway, man, the Chainsaw Man anime sucks. The hybrids are too hard to animate in 2D. Meanwhile, Mahito's final form and Mahoraga were done just fine in 2D. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, I guess when you say hybrid, I guess you're just saying Chainsaw Man. But I mean, there was a lot of 2D Chainsaw Man as well, right? Like, it wasn't 3D in every scene. I mean, maybe the actual chainsaw rotating bit was. I know, you're just baiting me. I'm not gonna get into a Chainsaw Man debate right now. Anyway, next up, the Post-Hoc hypothesis, our love of characters, my most divisive video this year by far, or the scripted video, I guess. So this was I think I talked about this actually somewhere. Maybe it was, it was on Kyle Entertainment stream, which that VOD is lost to time, of course, because he doesn't save his VODs. So I've had an idea for a very long time about how there's certain characters that I put in S tier, like they're my favorite characters, and I have no reason for, like, I have no reason for putting them that high. Mikasa is potentially one of them. I mean, it probably is one of them. But I guess I can rationalize. That's basically where this video comes from, where it's like, I wanted to make a video talking about these characters that I put so high without a reason. Eventually that morphed into the idea of like, why do I love characters at all? And that's what this video was about. And Mikasa was like the central focus, I guess, where I'm talking about how I don't have any particular reason for liking her. And all the reasons that I come up with are kind of made post hoc, and me trying to justify a love I feel without having any reason for loving her at all. So yeah.
Let's suppose someone comes up
Jesus.
to me and asks, "Hey there, Ari, who's your favorite Attack on Titan character?" And without hesitation, I proudly declare, why, Mikasa, of course. Her story is nothing short of heartbreaking. She's experienced the unimaginable pain of losing her family not once, but twice. Yet through it all, she manages to keep pushing forward and stays strong. And that's why she's my favorite. But wait, there's more. Remember that cute scene in the Battle of Trost where she breaks down in tears upon hearing Eren's heartbeat? Adorable. And let's not forget how fiercely protective she is of Eren. It's just too cute for words. And did I mention how awesome she is in a fight? Watching her take down Titans is always a thrill. So in summary, my love for Mikasa stems from her ability to overcome unimaginable trauma, her sweet and sentimental moments, her cute dedication to protecting Eren, and her badass fighting skills. And yet, none of this is true at all.
Oh yeah, I guess I've talked about this quite a bit, but people watching this might not, if there's anyone watching this, that you might not have seen this, or heard me talk about it before, which is that I took this idea of, like revealing that, oh, I'm saying something here, but none of it was actually true, from I think an Eddie Burback video where he's talking about the Beast Burger, like Mr. Beast, like burger chain, where he like keeps revealing like this new thing about like how you thought I was saying something, but no, I was lying to you or whatever. And that was kind of where I got this thing where I'm like, let me just break it apart into two kind of reveals here, where I'm like, initially, this is like what most people think when they say why they like characters. They give like superficial reasons of like, I like her because like thematically it's such a important thing about how she overcomes her trauma, and it's like the whole point of Attack on Titan, and it's like it sounds so intellectually interesting, and it's like you can justify it to other people. And that's probably what most people think when they justify liking characters. But I don't believe that at all. And then we get to the next part, which is about like, I like Mikasa because the holistic representation of Mikasa and blah 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 blah, But
I like Mikasa because she is Mikasa. In other words, there is a Mikasa in my mind that is deserving of adoration, but simply spouting facets of her character to justify my love of her is just probing at this more holistic representation that can never be conveyed. For the author is dead, along with objectivity, and so my understanding of Mikasa is unique to me. There is no way for me to convey it, for it is.
I think that was also a Kyle Entertainment reference here about like, for the author is dead, about the Berserk I Have Wings video, I think, where he at the end is like, but the author is dead, or something like that.
And so my understanding of,
even though I know the death of the author is like a thing, but the specific way I worded it, I think, was a reference there.
Mikasa is unique to me. There is no way for me to convey it, for it is the amalgamation of the entirety of my experience of her, conditioned on my life experience. I can't explain why I like Mikasa, because no one else experienced her character the same way that I did. I can only touch on reasons that scratch the surface of her character as it exists in my mind. But what I find more interesting is that none of this is true either. I don't know why I like Mikasa. I like her because I like her. Any reasons I provide are not an explanation for how I formed the representation of Mikasa in my mind, but a sort of confabulation. a post-hoc rationalization to justify this inherent, unexplained feeling of loving the character of Mikasa. Don't get me wrong, I truly believe it deep down in my heart when I say that I like Mikasa because it was incredibly adorable when she cried on hearing Eren's heartbeat. I truly do believe this. But in this self-reflective rant, I am suggesting this to be a self-delusion, a reason that is completely and fundamentally based in nothing. I am retroactively trying to justify my feelings after they have occurred. Of course, you can consciously choose to love or hate characters. Perhaps you firmly decided to hate Eren after he committed the rumbling, or felt a visceral hatred of Femto after what he did to Casca. But for the case of Mikasa, my adoration was certainly not conscious, and speaking from anecdote, this seems to be the case for many characters that I love. If we probe the field...
Oh, what a selection of characters there, my god. Who have we got here?
Certainly not conscious, and speaking from anecdote...
We got Anne from Vinland Saga, one of the greatest characters in all of Vinland Saga, even by the end of the story. I loved her little story in season 1. Go watch Bacon's video about Vinland's finest if you want to get more about Anne.
This seems to be the case.
Neferpito, one of the most hatred-inducing characters due to what she did to a certain character, but goddamn is she very engaging to watch, unbelievably engaging. One of my favorite characters in Hunter x Hunter.
Is for many characters.
And Elinalise, or should I say Elinalise, Dragon Road, who, I don't know, why is she so high here? I guess we'll find out eventually.
If we probe the field of psychology, this post-hoc rationalization may stem from cognitive dissonance, where a person experiences discomfort on having
Vsauce music, of course.
Contradictory attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. Consider a person who smokes cigarettes, even though they know it's harmful to their health. A person who is against animal cruelty, but still eats meat. A person who strongly believes that they chose to love a fictional character, but did not consciously choose to love them at all. To resolve this discomfort, we attempt to alter our beliefs or behaviors to achieve consistency. We may decide we are specially immune to the harm of cigarettes. We may justify meat consumption by claiming it's a natural requirement for living. And we might engage in post-hoc rationalization to justify our love for characters, to reconcile the dissonance between unconscious love and a belief that we arrived at that love consciously. In other words, I am pulling out justifications for my love of Mikasa as a sort of unconscious debate tactic to try and convince myself that my love for Mikasa is in fact justified, using reasons that seem reasonable and defenses that seem defensible to resolve my cognitive dissonance. To end, I want to make a symbolic parallel to an interesting neurological condition called Anton Babinski syndrome. A person is blind.
I feel like this whole bit is completely unnecessary. Feels like it comes out of nowhere. I don't know.
But denies or is unaware of their blindness. For instance, a blind woman who, when asked about her surroundings, will confidently make incorrect statements about the presence and placement of objects around her. More generally, ask a patient with Anton Babinski syndrome to make a decision based on visual stimulus that in reality they can't see, and they will provide justification for why they made their decision based on a sense of vision that they do not possess. So too do we provide reasons for liking characters, though no reasons exist internally. So perhaps the next time you hear me say I like a character, know that I'm just trying to convince both you and myself that I have a good reason for liking them, when in reality I truly have no idea why I like them at all.
Alright. I think I was much more harsh on this video when it actually came out, like the first week or two, when I started to reflect on it a bit more, and I'm like, I don't know if this really makes sense. But when I was watching it right now, I think it makes sense. I don't think there was anything too glaringly, poorly explained or anything. I think, the idea is kind of okay. But I probably could have... The problem here is that when the first bit I think makes sense, the first reveal, then you get the second bit about how no one can truly understand why I like Mikasa, because why I like anything has to do with my entire life story, how everything I've lived up to this point informs what I think about things that are in my past, which is Mikasa is one of those things. Now I feel like most people can understand this and probably think this is true, but when I get to the third reveal, it's then I'm fighting an uphill battle, because it's there's some people I've lost at this point because they still think this. Then there's the very niche group of people who are willing to go a step further and believe this. And then at this point, I'm kind of telling those people that I think they're wrong. And it's kind of I'm fighting everyone here, because I'm no one really thinks like this. Everyone thinks they have reasons for choosing things, but I'm saying you have no reason. It's just some thing. You like a character and now you're trying to justify it retroactively. So I don't know. I'm sure I probably could have done better here. Anyway. God, what was the thumbnail? Mikasa. All right. I think this is probably top B tier. I would put it in A tier if I thought it was extremely clear and I was gonna stand by it, but I'm 50-50 on standing by it. So I'm gonna go with a B. Oh my god, I just closed it. I'm an idiot. All right, wait a minute. At least the order will stay there. Okay, let's see. Maito and Mahoraga didn't have much screen time. Wait, what? Heath? Maito's had goddamn 4 episodes. Jesus Christ. Plus the animation style was so fluid and spastic that staying on model didn't matter compared to Chainsaw Man. True. But doesn't everyone love that first fight? Oh god, I'm gonna... with the Leech Devil? But that's all I'm saying, right? No more Chainsaw Man debates here. I've had enough about the animation. Remember that one time I spent 20 minutes looking at the 2 goddamn frame-by-frame differences in Katana Man? Jesus. Anyway. His new form didn't have much screen time. Well, if you mean the new form as in like the finalized, like, oh, I understand my soul now form, sure. But I feel like there's an incredible amount of like Mahito on screen. Like if you compare to any of like the amount of time Chainsaw Man was on screen, there might even be more Mahito than Chainsaw Man. I don't know. In terms of like action, I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, next up, Belonging in More, a video essay. So this was another, I guess I keep saying this for every video. This was another one where it only exists because I had a deadline. Now, I don't know if I met the 2-week deadline, but I knew that I wanted to get it out quickly, as quick as possible this next video. So I thought, you know what? I have some essays from high school. You know, they're okay. Like, they got good marks in the actual HSC, so they're probably, like, somewhat analytical. So let me go revisit them. And I had a few options, right? There was this, which is when I did my HSC, the, what do you even call it? The core theme or like, I don't know what they was some name for like what some module or something that everyone across the entire state had to like make an essay on. And mine was belonging back in the day. I don't know what it is now. At some point they changed to discovery. Who knows what it is these days? So I had to find some text that was related to belonging, and I had to relate it to some prescribed text by the school that was like from a list of things that everyone in the state had to choose from. And for me, it was like Peter Shinesky or something. Like he had a poems, and it was about like some Polish immigrant experience of, I don't know, something coming to Australia. So half of that essay that I made for the HSC was about more. So what I did was I took like the more sections of that essay, took it out, rewrote it to kind of like, not rewrote it, but like kind of tidied up the transitions between paragraphs to make it fit in like a nice video format. And then I made this video. But the other options were one about Blade Runner, because I had another essay about Blade Runner, the movie, the director's cut, that is. And I had another one about Frankenstein. So I could have done a Frankenstein one. And there was one about some 9/11 documentary that I had one on, but I did not want to make that video. But who knows? Maybe one day I'll make a Blade Runner video and talk about that. This was also one of the ones where I spent a little bit of time to make the aesthetic and like production of the video at least somewhat interesting. Like you got the rain in the background, you got the ticking of the clock, and I don't know. Some of the editing is pretty interesting, I guess. Jeez, let me make this a bit louder.
Belonging is a feeling of contentment that arises from positively connecting with others. However, as a predominantly affective response, it is also fluid and dynamic. Perceptions of belonging not only shape an individual's experiences, but are also reconfigured by them. In other words, time matures perceptions of belonging. This is evident in Mark Osborne's short claymation film, More, which explores the importance of belonging.
Yeah, like the thunder coming in and the More logo coming up. It feels good. I like it.
To the individual. More is an allegory of urban life. The protagonist represents those feeling isolated due to existing in a society that promotes capitalist values of greed rather than community.
I was just looking. I'm surprised this has 400 views. Like, who is interested in this?
The daily anxiety of someone unhappy with such a society is accentuated through the jarring increase in volume of the diegetic sound of the alarm clock. An isolated atmosphere is created by the film's predominant omission of dialogue. The single source of dialogue being the incomprehensible yelling of the protagonist's superior at the commercialist factory associates this discontented isolation with discouraging social values of dehumanization and lack of personal agency. This factory is a place characterized by dark lighting and low-angle shots of hundreds of workers that through their machine-like unison are depicted as slaves to society's greed, lacking any signs of satisfaction with this disconnected life. The repetitive, non-diegetic background music is titled Elegy, meaning a melancholy.
Did you notice how I said elegy and then in the actual thing it says elegio or elegio or whatever? It's because the script was incorrect, but I thought if I put this on screen, people will hear me saying elegio or whatever. So anyway, let's listen again.
Background music is titled Elegy, meaning a
it's like elegia. You know, it kind of sounds like I'm saying the A at the end, even though when I said it, I certainly did not.
Melancholic tribute.
Anyway.
This slow beat, elegiac music reinforces the protagonist's depression, with the grayscale color palette demonstrating his bleak existence in this greedy society populated by disconnected individuals. Osborne therefore suggests that existing in a society that does not nurture connection to others will lead to discontent. Connecting with one's own individuality is essential for achieving satisfaction with life. The protagonist's conformity to the values of his society, after his corporate ladder ascension, applies this idea of sacrificing individuality being futile. The central motif of the projecting light from the protagonist's stomach initially distinguishes him from the remainder of society that has sacrificed their light, their symbolic inner happiness, in order to conform. However, after rising from factory worker to corporate head, this light has faded, and the protagonist has become akin to everyone else.
It is a very cool short film, I'll give it that. Like, there's no dialogue, there's just like this cool music that's going on in this video. It works, it's a very cool short film.
A dolly outshot contrasts his great lightless body with the increasingly large empty white room to show that connections remain lacking, even after sacrificing his individuality to conform to the values of his society. His discontentedness is evident in the close-up shot of his smile transforming into a frown. The ending flashback to his childhood memory on the carousel, with him and his friends being painted distinct colors, highlights his yearning for the genuine sense of belonging he had as a child, and the happiness that comes from being true to oneself. Thus, Osborne suggests that interfacing with the world through one's individuality is essential for being content with one's state of belonging. It is crucial to re-engage and re-evaluate experiences of belonging and not belonging to understand and accept that.
I'm also not sure if this like paragraph here, like the introduction here of this conclusion, I don't think it like transitions very well at all. And it's very hard to piece together what I was saying. But that's because it's like extracted from an essay that was like in a broader context with another text that was involved, not just more. But you know what? I don't think anyone's really going to question it if they're this deep into the video.
It is crucial to re-engage and re-evaluate experiences of belonging and not belonging to understand and accept its dynamic nature. By maintaining connections with others and embracing one's unique identity, individuals can experience a more profound sense of belonging, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling life. Or at least, that's what I took away from Mark Osborne's More when I wrote this high school essay 9.5 years ago.
Jesus. Not only 9.5 years ago, but 10 years ago now, almost to the day, because I'm probably like a month longer than that, because I think the HSC was in November or something. So yeah, crazy. I mean, that's a fun video. That would definitely be an A tier video, I think. But it's like, in terms of the actual video itself, I think it like does a good job. Like anyone who's seen More and watches this will probably be like, oh, that was at least an somewhat interesting like thematic analysis of More. But personally, it's very fun to like kind of take a script that I had ages ago, which was like an actual essay, and actually make it into something creative that I was passionate about. Because when I wrote that essay, 10 years ago, I was absolutely not passionate about it. So to actually take that and convert it into something that I actually like and I'm proud of, it's kind of cool. So yeah, A tier. Oh, look at this. Only 4 videos to go. Now we have the joy of rewatching Mushoku Tensei. So anyone watching now, Mushoku Tensei novel spoilers, all right? I'm going to be talking from now for this next 2 videos about Mushoku Tensei novel spoilers. So now's your chance. I guess if anyone here is a Mushoku Tensei novel fan, they want to talk about it, go ahead. But only until I'm done with these 2 videos. So anyway, this, I think we'll go through this, but undoubtedly, I'm pretty confident this is the best video I've made this, like, ever, I guess, and made this year. I feel strong emotions watching this. I think I captured exactly the feeling I wanted to capture when I was making this. And it was actually pretty simple to like script and edit, and I edited to the music as well. This was like, I mean, not edited, scripted. I guess I mostly scripted to the music. Like I made sure it timed up basically with the actual track that was going on, because I think the track is important here. Anything I have to say? No. I guess if there was one video I could give a lot of views, it'd probably be this one. But yeah, it's a bit hard to to get people to watch this because it doesn't, I don't want to reveal, I guess, spoilers of like, it's hard to explain what this video is about, like who it appeals to. People who see the anime will click on this and be like, oh, spoilers, I don't want to watch this. And I know it's a bit of a mess, but I really like this video. Anyway, let's watch it.
There's such strong feelings you get from going right back to the start of a grand story that you love. Recently, I've been rewatching Mushoku Tensei, a story that spans 26 volumes and countless side chapters that creates a vibrant world full of characters that I know very well and that I've grown quite attached to. In rewatching the anime, there's so many small moments and details that hit me so strongly just because I know where things end up going. You see a happy family, untouched by strife, before the onslaught of the trials of life. A cheerful Zenith so young and bright before her mind is stolen by the crystal's light. You see the inklings of the great magic that Rudy will one day learn to cast. The pendant he wears that will be his symbol when the 7th great power is surpassed. You see Roxy's heartfelt goodbye, which will last for quite a long time, not knowing of the labyrinth of pain that will wash over the story when Rudy sees her again. You see Eris long for her mother's watchful eye, without knowing that soon enough she will die without saying goodbye. And let's not forget Aquahartia in its first grand display, destined for Lara to carry one day. You see Pax and Zainoba, Norn and Aisha. You hear of the Red Dragon Mountains and the Academy in Renoa. You hear the story of Laplace, knowing the real tragedy behind it. And see Rudy see straight through the man god, who still manages to trick him despite it. Rewatching the start, emotions are light, a cherished story in a new light. Pain and sorrow, strife and dread, all things that seemingly lie ahead. But this is a story so very grand, with enough joy and laughter to fill a lifespan. These early days were the good times, before all the struggling, but the good times yet ahead remain beyond counting. So yeah, it's a special type of feeling to rewatch the beginning of such a long-running story spanning a character's entire life. A story that evolves so much from where it started, filled with plenty of ups and downs, leading to a strange sense of bittersweet nostalgia when revisiting these early days in Rudius's new life.
Okay, very good. I enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. What do I have to say?
To cast.
Obviously, there's a very limited amount of things that I can fit in this as like things that really trigger the feeling of like these were the good times or whatever. Or like there's so much yet to come when you're still watching this. So I included a few things. One thing I wanted to talk about more was Paul, I guess, and knowing what happens to, I guess I can spoil stuff now because I'm talking about the novels, but Paul's death, I guess. That's like an important thing where it's like when you see him, you're like, you know that eventually he's going to die. I don't know, what else was there? There was like a few things like that. I was very glad I could fit a Lara reference because Lara is one of my favorite characters. Where is it?
Goodbye. And let's not forget Aquahartia in its first grand display, destined for Lara to carry one day.
God, and you got Leo. Was it Leo? Was that his name? The sacred beast, basically. Which, you know, if anyone's read the novel, you know that they're 2 peas in a pod. Lara's always riding him. It's great. I'm so glad I could fit her in. God, Lara in those when she pranks Orsted by putting the pin on his chair. Jesus Christ, what a scene. Redundancy is like the best part of Mushoku Tensei. Jesus Christ. Anyway, what else was there to say? Yeah, I had to use trailer footage, I guess. And interestingly enough, this is undoubtedly the city of Sharia or whatever, like the magical city surrounding the university. And I was pretty confident when I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, this is obviously what I'm seeing here, and that's what I talk about in this video when I say
Mountains and the Academy in Renoa.
Yeah, the Academy in Renoa. But I did look it up on like Reddit and stuff to see are people agreeing with this, and I even looked at the Discord for Mushoku Tensei, and there were like people everywhere were basically saying, oh, I don't think it is that because like it doesn't snow or whatever. And there were a few reasons that people gave. And I'm like, this is obviously it. Like, that's what they're saying. It fits in with the dialogue of what they're saying in the trailer. It does snow there. Like, it's very clear that it snows there, like they say it in the actual novel. So I don't know. I don't know why people didn't think this was Renoa, but it definitely is. Anyway, what else? Alina, like the reference to her being Rostalina and everything. God.
Knowing the real tragedy behind it. And see Rudy.
Yeah, the real tragedy behind it. God. Anyway.
You hear the story of Laplace, knowing the real tragedy behind it.
God, the story of Laplace is so incredibly tragic. I absolutely have to make a video on that. God, should it be the... Oh, I don't know if it'll be the next video I make. I have to make a Old Dragon's Tale video, but then I have to reread it, and then it's like the issue of like it has a fan translation, so it's kind of like all the details are like, not fixed or whatever, and they can change over time, and it's like if I make a video now and they change later, but then I got the same issue with my epilogue video where obviously that's going to change as well when that gets adapted, or not adapted, but like officially translated. But God... Alina story throughout Mushoku Tensei is crazy. How important she becomes, the relationship she has with Rudius, the relationship she has with Sylphie, her traveling with Rudy in the next like arc is going to be, or next like anime season is going to be so incredibly fun. I hope they spend like more than one episode. I love Alina. And it is the same image I used in the Mushoku, in the Mikasa video where I talked about my favorite characters ever. Alina is definitely up there. God, there's so many. I like this video a lot. Triggers all the emotions in Mushoku Tensei. Anyway. That's enough of me talking about that video. That is absolutely S tier. Probably my best one this year, or the one I enjoy rewatching the most, which is interesting because it's called The Joy of Rewatching. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, now my first actual successful video I ever made, which was this one, which somehow got like I think 50,000 views in like 3 days or something. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. But now it's been overtaken by a poll video. But anyway, let's watch this. I guess this was also, I was very looking forward to making this because Norn Greyrat is undoubtedly my favorite character in Mushoku Tensei, and no one else seems to think that's the case. I'm sure there are a lot of people who think she's their favorite, but when you look it up and type on Reddit, like, oh, top, what are your favorite, like, 5 Mushoku Tensei characters, no one ever puts Norn. And if they do, it's like a very, like, it'll be low on the list, and if anything, it'll be brought up in the context of like Aisha versus Norn, and some people will be like, I prefer Aisha, and some people will say, I prefer Norn. And yeah, I was hoping that just by making a video like this, people will start seeing Norn in a more favorable light, but who knows? But man, I'm so excited to see her come back in the story this coming cour. It undoubtedly is some of my favorite stuff. I'm so scared how they're going to adapt it too, because of like the fact that they're so shy of like adapting point of views or perspective, like chapters or whatever. I hope the anime actually adapts her stuff. Anyway, enough ranting. Let's watch this.
In the magical world.
This is my first video where I kind of integrated the spoiler warning into the video so it doesn't scare people off, I guess, by having that like 5-second warning at the beginning. Anyway, let's watch this.
In the magical world of Mushoku Tensei, where battles between gods can erase entire worlds and clashing demigods can...
that's kind of true. When the old dragon god and the human god, when they fought, they kind of did destroy... Well, I guess it wasn't really the fighting. It was like the indirect fighting, the main god doing his trickery and the good old... dragon god fighting the other gods and kind of destroying the realms. I guess it's not too much of a stretch. Anyway,
in the magical world of Mushoku Tensei, where battles between gods can erase entire worlds and clashing demigods can reshape
and some people will probably be like, oh, Hitagami, he said that Orsted can destroy the entire world, but he's a demigod, he's not really a god. Can he destroy the world? Probably not.
Anyway. We follow a magical prodigy altering fate itself, surrounded by blessed children, rulers of kingdoms, and legendary heroes who once saved the world. We go on grand adventures and topple monarchies.
Oh god, the editing here, I should have fixed it. Every time I rewatch this video, I noticed that the head was cut off. I could easily fix this just by using the AI generative fill in Photoshop, but god, I didn't miss it. I mean, I didn't pick it up until I actually uploaded it. Anyway.
We undermine princes and kings and gods. We even invent new forms of magic. And yet, an ordinary girl who isn't particularly strong or notably intelligent.
You probably, maybe when I point it out now, you'll notice, but a lot of these panels have like AI used to fill in things that were like text before. For instance, down here, you probably can't tell. Now that you focus on it, you're like, what's actually going on here? I have no idea. And that's because there was a text thing here saying like Norn or something in katakana. But I just filled it in, and I think it looks good. Like if you don't know that there used to be text there, it's pretty. I think it's not too obvious.
who is a little bit clumsy, lacks self-confidence, whose name will never echo in the halls of fame, and exists in the shadow of two greater siblings, emerges as the most compelling character in the entire...
I feel like I've talked about this video before, maybe on stream or something, but this was an absolute pain to get content for, like visuals for the thing, because Norn does not have much in terms of visualizations, like actual illustrations from the novel. So I basically went through all the images that are potentially available throughout the entire novel, and all these like weird side novels or whatever, and like audio discs or something, and there were like a few images of Norn. I just collected them all, and whenever I thought they were relevant for a certain section, I basically put them on screen. The editing for this video is very bare bones. It's like basically zoom in panel, fade out, zoom in panel, fade out, and some text, you know. I think what carries this video are probably the music, I guess, in time with some of the things I'm saying. Like, it kind of strikes emotionally, but other than that, it's a very bare bones video in terms of visuals. Anyway.
Saga. Surrounded by exceptional people, Norn Greyrat is plainly average, and the greatest character in Mushoku Tensei. So now let me explain what makes her so great. A small girl was born to a small family in a small village, who after a few short years...
God, I do like the scripting in this, where it's like a fun way of recapping things. I don't know. She was just in the manga a lot recently, right? Yeah, Heath, be aware, I'm absolutely talking about novel spoilers, so I'm going to spoil the ending of Mushoku Tensei, so you better be aware of that, what I'm saying here. But yeah, she did have the point of view scene, I think, with Rudius very recently, which the anime, this next cour, is going to overtake the manga, like, no doubt. It's crazy how slow the manga is. I haven't read the manga personally. I've only seen certain bits of it. I saw a bunch of TikToks about her. Thank God, all right? I'm glad she's becoming more popular, because she is the best character, obviously. Come on, anyway.
A small girl was born to a small family in a small village, who after a few short years was teleported to a faraway land and raised alone by her father. She eventually meets her older brother, whom everyone treats as a prodigy. She then reunites with her younger half-sister, whom everyone treats as a genius. She then spends some time with her grandmother, who constantly berates her to be better than her illegitimate sister.
Greatest, or second greatest character in all of Mushoku Tensei.
Finally, she is given some room to breathe, having enrolled in the University of Magic while her sister remains at home, and yet once more she is bombarded with comparisons to her older brother. Norn is constantly compared to the people around her, and she silently hates it. She feels useless, she feels alone, but above all, she feels inferior. And it's not the motivational type of inferior, where she vows to outdo her siblings, it's the type of inferior that makes her hate them, makes her lock herself in her room, wishing for the comparisons to stop, happier to be forgotten than to be compared. This is how it feels to be Norn Greyrat in Volume 11.
Oh my god, the nice Revenge of the Sith novelization reference there. This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker for now. This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker forever. Anyway, I thought I'd put that in this video because it's a fun narrative thing. I think the scripting, so the music and the scripting really carry this, like the way I say things, I guess, I think, in my opinion.
However, it is within this struggle that we get the first glimpse into the appeal of her character. Norn is resilient. Despite feeling neglected, useless, and inferior, despite being on the edge of locking herself away forever, she managed...
It's like little tricks here I've used, like... This scene is I think it's nowhere near as long as I've done here. So I pause on certain frames, like on her like standing up here. I think I'm actually manually zooming in the thing to make it look like the actual anime is doing it, but I'm doing it just because I need to fill that little bit of time, you know? Anyway, I already sort of know what happens. Don't worry. Okay, all right, good.
And inferior, despite being on the edge of locking herself away forever, she manages to get through it. And all it takes is for her to reflect on her feelings and work herself through them. In Volume 11, Chapter 5, we get a glimpse
greatest chapter in early Mushoku Tensei, or mid Mushoku Tensei.
Into her mind as she works through her emotions. A 10-year-old girl, hating, fearing, and feeling abandoned by her family. An absolute mess of emotions predicated on a life of feeling inferior. Shipped off by her father for being too much of a
Can you see that I removed geese from this scene using AI? You probably can't unless I pointed it out.
Berated by her sister for not putting in the effort. Being told to be more like the brother she fears, who viciously beat up her father, and whom she could never even hope to compete with. Bitterness, sadness, self-pity, anger, and who knows what else, all bottling up inside while she's locked herself in her room. And yet, all it takes is for her to know...
This is also from like what, volume 23 or something. I don't know. This is not Rudy from that scene, but I couldn't think of any other visual of Rudy like barging into a room and looking worried. Also, I edited this sweat in here. He's not actually sweating in the original thing, and it doesn't really match the tone of the actual Norn point of view scene. But I had to come up with something to put here. But I think it works if you're not too like invested in the light novel.
Notice one nervous look from her brother, who would come to her side at the lowest point in her life, for Norn to reshuffle her whole perspective and bounce right back. On seeing her brother's nervous expression, she realizes that the brother she feared was in turn afraid himself, afraid of being rejected by her. And that's all it took to bring her back from despair. That one humanizing moment of a person she viewed as unreachably superior. She lets out all her emotions in a heartwarming cry, collects herself, and moves on.
God, this also works very well, where it's like the violin, or I don't know, whatever string instrument is coming in, it's like zooming out on the actual most important panel, in this particular light novel. I don't know. It works well.
Humanizing moment of a person she viewed as unreachably superior. She lets out all her emotions in a heartwarming cry, collects herself, and moves on. In the words of her older brother, she never told me what she was upset about.
And this is, again, AI generated expanded. It's not actually that big in the original visualization.
or what she'd been feeling. She just cried for a long time. And then, when it was finally over, she looked up and mumbled, "I'll be okay now." This resilience is the first aspect of what makes her so interesting. In a story with its foundation in a man...
Oh, and then I tied it all in somehow. Initially, this bit didn't have an ending where I tied it into a whole thematic thing of Mushoku Tensei and Rudeus as a whole, but it felt like I didn't really have a point to this whole first section, so I added it in. I think it works very well, like tying in her being able to get over it and Rudeus not getting over it, and him seeing her sister do it, and it all comes together, you know, it's great.
And who was never able to overcome his trauma. A 10-year-old girl at the lowest point in her life, with not a single exceptional thing about her, uses her introspection and willingness to change her mind to demonstrate her exceptional resilience.
It's like she is so special because of the world that Mushoku Tensei is, and it's like on a face value she's doing such a simple thing, but that simple thing is like the simple thing of, I guess, getting up after what happened is the whole conceit of Mushoku Tensei. Like, what caused Rudeus to get stuck here in the first place is that he could never do that, and it kind of shows, it's like one element of her character, her resilience, is just so special. God,
the words of Rudeus himself: "She'd managed to climb out of a hole I'd spent an entire lifetime trapped in. If I'd been half as strong as her, maybe my first life wouldn't have turned out so miserable."
God, the novel is so much better than the anime. Jesus, I guess we'll see when the anime gets to this, but the way things are phrased is beautiful.
Settling into her new mindset and rebuilding her family.
This is another scene which I'm like 80% certain they're not going to adapt it, but it's like one of the top 10 scenes in Mushoku Tensei. Go.
Bonds. Norn has shown remarkable growth since the shut-in incident, when unexpectedly, a plea for help arrives. A letter for Rudeus penned by Geese, seeking aid in rescuing his mother Zenith.
Ooh, trailer footage.
With his unborn child on the way, confronted with this dilemma, Rudeus chooses to decline the request. However, a few days later, he runs into Norn, her belongings quietly packed, ready to undertake the journey alone, boldly prepared to step into Rudeus's shoes. Witnessing the desperation of this young girl who had the will but not the means for saving her parents, Rudeus is swayed and agrees to embark on the long and dangerous journey to Greyrat. With 1 month having passed since Rudeus's departure, on her way home from school one day, Norn is overtaken by a wave of selfish guilt. Rudeus had abandoned Sylphie and their unborn child just to alleviate Norn's emotional turmoil. She pictures Sylphie weeping and weeping on hearing of Rudeus's demise.
This is another weird edit I did, where initially Rudeus is just solid, but I thought, you know what, let me reduce his transparency a bit to make him look like he's disappeared from this world.
Holding a fatherless child in her arms, while emotionally spiraling over her perceived selfishness.
Because I had to get so creative because I really, truly did not have many visuals to include in this video.
Norn finds herself near a local church and begins to pray. She prays for the safety of her brother, and her father, and her mother, and of Lilia, but as soon as the words leave her lips, the familiar sting of selfishness resurfaces. Perhaps she was being too greedy.
I was hoping, I don't know how this comes across, to me it works well, but I was hoping that people don't hear me repeat the same phrase, like brother and father and mother or whatever, and think I'm just bad at conveying my speech or whatever. Obviously I'm doing this intentionally, to kind of emphasize the point that Norn is feeling the burden of saying that she's praying for all these things. So I'm trying to emphasize it by saying, and this, and this, and this, when obviously I could phrase it a different way, you know, but
her mother, and of Lilia.
It's like emphasis, you know.
Anyway. But as soon as the words leave her lips, the familiar sting of selfishness resurfaces. Perhaps she was being too greedy, asking too much of the great Saint Millis. Despite this, she finds herself returning to the church.
And again, this is Cliff and Eliza's wedding that I cut them out of using AI. So now we just see a church without them there.
Time and time again. Until one day, her facade crumbles, as she realizes that though her words of prayer were seemingly spoken for the sake of others, they were doing nothing but soothing her own troubled heart. A selfish act disguised as a selfless one, masking away the fact that she is, and always has been, powerless. And here we arrive at the second appeal of Norn Greyrat's character, her unrelenting self-critique. Norn blames herself for things that are either not her fault or are just truly trivial in the grand scheme of things. Whether that be feeling selfish for soothing her emotional turmoil through prayer, or feeling like she'll fail the school entrance exam because she's not smart enough, not because she spent the past year being forced to traverse an entire continent with no time to prepare for the exam. When she first moved into Rudeus's house, she believed she would be in the wrong if she ever upset Rudeus, no matter the reason. She even thought Rudeus would take Rudeus's side, as perhaps she was being too rude or selfish. She also saw her desire to live in the school dorms as some sort of big selfish act, and when she's surprisingly allowed to move into the dorms, she thinks Rudy is only allowing it because he saw it as a golden opportunity to kick out his nuisance of a little sister. And she even sees herself as weak and pathetic for being sent away from her father, lacking the perspective to see that she's just a 10-year-old.
I guess I didn't mention this, but I'm also using a Flife soundtrack for the background of this, which is kind of awesome, you know, because I love Flife and no one really plays that game anymore. But there were a few people, because of obviously how many comments I got, 360, that pointed this out. They were like, oh, is this a Flife soundtrack? And I'm like, hell yeah, look at this. We have Flife fans watching this.
Old girl who should be the one protected, not have to be a protector herself. Norn is far too harsh on herself, and it is perhaps her
There's another one of those things where I think she blinks once, and I just repeated it and zoomed in and made it look like it was actual footage from the anime.
most endearing quality. It makes the audience wish for her to recognize her own worth.
Same here with her hair flowing back and forth. I think it's only like that for less than a second, but I had to do it back and forth and zoom in to make it look like it's footage, just to buy a little bit of time so I could expand the little black gap right here I had between scenes.
The strength and spirit that is clear to us, but not to her. It makes her incredibly relatable to those who grapple with questions of self-worth, and more generally, it fosters a great sense of empathy and investment in her character. Norn Greyrat cries a lot. She cries after the Shut-in incident, she cries after the praying incident, and most famously she cries in the aftermath of the disastrous mission to rescue Zenith. The mission was essentially a complete failure. Rudius lost his hand, Paul lost his life, countless years of people's lives were wasted, and all that was retrieved was a husk of Zenith. Norn learns that her parents are gone forever, and she goes through a spectrum of emotions. Her first response is confusion, disbelief that her father could be dead. Then she has a brief moment of anger toward the brother she had placed all her faith in, the brother who ended up failing.
This truly is. Maybe I should do like a tier list of my favorite scenes in Mushoku Tensei. This could be a candidate for my favorite scene. Maybe, and I don't think it'll be as good when it gets animated. When I think of this scene, I think of the line about how she sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. She cried all the tears that the rest of us hadn't. Like just the way it's written is incredibly emotionally impactful. And it's going to be impossible to convey in an anime, but I guess we'll see how they do.
That her parents are gone.
It's like the simplicity of it, like the writing. There's no like fancy way of explaining what she's feeling. It's like she sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed.
On forever, and she goes through a spectrum of emotions. Her first response is confusion, disbelief that her father could be dead. Then she has a brief moment of anger toward the brother she had placed all her faith in, the brother who ended up failing her. But before she can act on that anger, she realizes that Rudy truly tried his best, even at the cost of his own left hand. And so the emotion she ends up settling on is a mix of feeling worthless and just pure sadness. Despite this, she doesn't lock herself in her room or lose her mind to despair. She doesn't curse the world or curse her brother or even curse herself. She sobs and sobs and sobs, and then she stops. And despite being a swollen, red-eyed mess, she decides to do something with her emotional pain. She points to Paul's sword and asks if she could have it. What she developed from this traumatic situation was a burning passion to get stronger, to do her late father proud and help the best she can the next time a situation turns sour. And so we arrive at another aspect of what makes Norn so great, her emotional maturity. As we've established, Norn is a crybaby. In the aftermath of Paul's death, she cried all the tears that the rest of us hadn't. But when all that crying was finally done,
I'm so glad I put that, because obviously this is one of my favorite lines in the entire novel. She cried all the tears that the rest of us hadn't. It would be in like my top 5. Maybe it is my favorite line in Mushoku Tensei. I have to reflect on it. But I'm so glad that it times so well with the music, so well with the visual of her dad actually crying. Like, this is great. When I rewatch this, I'm always like, oh, I'm so glad this all came together so well for this one, like my favorite part of the entire novel, which is like this line. So
another aspect of what makes Norn so great, her emotional maturity. As we've established, Norn is a crybaby. In the aftermath of Paul's death, she cried all the tears that the rest of us hadn't. But when all that crying was finally done, she channeled the energy in a positive direction and proved her emotional maturity.
I promise you, if there was a way to get rid of this text easily, like within a feasible time frame, I would have done it, all right? It's very difficult.
Norn's kindness towards Aisha is another such example. She notices Aisha's restrained happiness upon Lilia's safe return, and reassures her that it's alright to express joy amidst Norn's sorrow. It's especially meaningful for Norn to express this, who for the longest time had hated the sister she had always been compared to. However, perhaps the most shining aspect of Norn's emotional profile is her sincerity. Norn always speaks her heart, even when it's not entirely welcome. For instance, her initial objection to Roxy joining the family. Her reasons were manifold. Concern for Sylphie, a religious stand against polygamy, Roxy's youthful appearance, and her perceived intrusion into Rudy and Sylphie's relationship. And Norn passionately makes these thoughts clear to those involved. Although she later acknowledges her overstepping, her compulsion to speak her mind in this situation illustrates her ability to vocalize her heartfelt beliefs unapologetically. Norn is always true to herself, and where her heart lies is always plain to see. In the end, Norn Greyrat is a character who wears her...
The wildest thing, when I was reading Mushoku Tensei, I don't think I've talked about this, but maybe I have, was seeing these, like, young characters in the anime, then reading 20 volumes, and then seeing the illustrations of them now at the end. And like, I didn't see any of the in-between illustrations unless they were on like a volume cover or something. So to see Norn as like this tiny little girl in season 1 of the anime, and see her as like a full-grown like woman at the end of the light novel, and just to be like, wow, that's Norn, like this is who she ended up being. It's so like, it was such a cool feeling to, I guess, see the illustrations after I'd read the entire story, just to see them at the end, like her and Aisha just all grown up, and it's like, oh, this is so cute.
Her heart on her sleeve. She always expresses exactly what she's feeling. At times, she can be an absolute crybaby, sure, but that's what makes her so appealing. Her tears show that she feels things deeply and unashamedly.
Oh, like, look at little Norn here, oh my god.
And once she's done crying, she is always ready to take on the world once more. So Norn is resilient, Norn is self-critical, and she demonstrates great emotional maturity. However, when I think of Norn, the number one quality that jumps to mind is her work ethic. Norn is not exceptionally skilled in any way whatsoever. Compared to her peers, she is average academically, average at magic, doesn't know a thing about swordplay, and so on and so forth. However, she is very eager to better herself, and when she commits to something, she sticks to it. After the Shut-in incident, she wants to do better at school, so she asks Rudy to tutor her in some of her subjects. This same drive is
kind of like the triumphant music here as well. The music is very, I think, like I said, I've said a few times now, the music and the script, the music and the script. The music, I think, works well for each of these sections, and it's like, I think it's like a key part of making this video actually feel good. Does Post-Hoc hypothesis apply to your love for Norn? Absolutely. It applies to everything, all right? It is like, it is so, I even said it in the Post-Hoc video where I'm like, I truly believe that I like Mikasa because, you know, it was incredibly cute when she cried when she heard Eren's heartbeat. I truly believe that's why I like her so much. But then when I try and intellectualize it, you know, in that post-hoc video, I'm like, yeah, but do I really think that? I don't think so. I think it's just like a thing. I like her and I'm trying to justify it. So, you know, my heart tells me that I truly have these reasons for liking Norn, but deep down, who knows why I like her? Maybe it's impossible. Maybe I'll never know.
Evident in her desire to help Rudy write his book about the history of the Superbirds. And while the mission in Greyrat is going on, she starts helping out with the student council. Even after the death of her father, she manages to balance her academics with learning swordsmanship under Rudy's tutelage.
This was from a, like, I don't know what this was from. It wasn't from the main novel, that's for sure. It was from something else.
Her dedication is nothing short of relentless. She even willingly sacrifices a trip to the legendary hero Perugius's castle.
I saw this tweet the other day about how insane it's going to be when we get to actually season 3, I think it is, because we're going to be going from volume 13 to what, like, 18 or something, like, wait, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, which is going to cover so much, like, of the best stuff in Mushoku Tensei. Like, wait, Mushoku Tensei volume 13. Look at this, it's insane. Like, obviously we get, like, the nice, you know, happy family times. We get one of the, oh god, wait, let me catch up on chat. Typical Mushoku Tensei fan likes a little killer character. Yeah, Norn's the greatest, right? Anyway, yeah, we get volume 14 where they go to Perugius, and of course, Turning Point 4, the greatest, great. It's so great. It is the best of the turning points, unquestionably. Everyone would agree. I'd be surprised if anyone chose anything else as one of the greatest turning points. God, what a scene. Look at it right here. My God, what a scene. What a turning point. Jesus. And people think Turning Point 2 is anything. God, wait until they see this one. Anyway, Mushoku Tensei, we get the Orsted ring match. God, we get we got all the family coming together, and it's all like coming. We get Beat. We get like all these. We got, look at this. We got good old Leo and Orsted's reveals of like who he is and what is going on, and oh my god, we even get the Azura stuff with Ryder, and we actually see the North God style in the flesh for once. We finally get the introduction that I've been teasing Kyle and Bacon on for so long. We finally meet Orba and see the North God Emperor himself, and then we get the final scene with Ryder versus Orsted, where it's like this, like, what did they even say, like the golden touches or something? There was like some cool way it was described in the novel, where it's like a chill runs down the spines of all these people in the room, and everyone is frozen in shock, and like as the audience we know what's happening, but no one else there is like, why are we so scared? And it's like the curse of Orsted is coming, and it's so cool, man. And then maybe volume 18 where we get Slave Linear. God. And is this volume 18? Oh, we get all the good Norn stuff as well with her like character arc resolution. God, so good. Season 3 is going to be insane. I hope they adapt it, and I hope they adapt it well. But anyway, I think a huge part of whether I like a character or not is her appearance. Call me superficial. It probably plays a part. I guess it is tougher when it comes to a light novel where it's like you don't really know what they look like. But yeah, when it comes to like visual media, I would say it's probably a big part.
In order to maintain
back to this video.
Even after the death of her father, she manages to balance her academics with learning swordsmanship under Rudy's tutelage. Her dedication is nothing short of relentless. She even willingly sacrifices a trip to the legendary hero Perugius's castle in order to maintain all of her commitments. Finally, Norn officially joins the student council, now balancing her schoolwork with sword practice, book writing, and student.
Another crazy thing is just how big of a part of Rudy's life and the entire story of Mushoku Tensei the university becomes. It's so cool. Like, I remember when I guess I'm just talking about Mushoku Tensei now because I have a chance where I can talk about spoilers without ruining it for Bacon or Kyle. It's so funny when I asked like Kyle and Bacon, how long do you think we'll stay at this university? And they're like, oh, you know, probably maybe for half a cool, maybe another whole season or something. But we stay here. Rudius stays here for the next, at least 35 years of his life. Like, it's crazy. Like, he sets out a family. He basically has a whole entire Greyrat dynasty that starts at this university. It's insane. Yeah, it's so cool. Man, anyway.
Council duties. And all of this hard work pays off in one crowning achievement. The girl who was constantly compared to her siblings, feeling useless, alone, and inferior, becomes the student council president while only in her 5th year of school. This achievement is revealed in her speech as student council president during the university's entrance ceremony, a surprise to both Rudy and the audience. It's an amazing reveal that really highlights how much effort she'd been putting in the background while we had been paying attention to other things in the narrative. However, the culmination of Norn's character is actually in the scene after the entrance ceremony. Rudy is faced with arrogant new students, talking about how the student council president Norn isn't anything special, and how as scholarship students they'll make the school theirs in no time at all. Rudy lets Linear put them in their place.
It's a great choice for the Linear picture here. I love it. She's so sneaky, my god.
teaching them a lesson in humility. But then comes Norn, standing tall, respected, and appreciated by all. She tells Rudius off for bullying the poor young students, and gives a really cute speech to them about how she will look after them if anything ends up troubling them during their time at the university. All the while, Rudy notices that the people watching this confrontation were looking toward Norn as a beacon of protection. It's evident in this scene that Norn is no longer the same girl we met in Volume 11. She is capable, confident, and above all, content.
Did you notice that alliteration, or whatever the word is? Capable, confident, and above all, content. Crazy. Anyway.
Confident, and above all, content. And she has finally found a place where she feels like she belongs. And it all stems from the hard work she put in to get to this point. The story of Norn is thus one of the transformative power of hard work.
Oh, this is the best part of the video. There's like zoom into her face when I like talk about her. Oh, I love it. I don't know why. It's so
she is
great.
capable, confident, and above all, content. And she has finally found a place where she feels like she belongs. And it all stems from the hard work she put in to get to this point. The story of Norn is thus one of the transformative power of hard work and unwavering commitment, showing how an average individual can become an inspiring figure of resilience and determination, and find a place in this world where they are truly happy.
Yeah, like it's the cropping in of the like her actual panel in this happy family that she finally gets to be a part of. It's even the what do you call it? The ease in transition. Like he doesn't like I'm just talking about like the video editing itself. When you're cropping in, it like slowly decelerates. It's coming in as well, which works very well. And it feels like it's the end of a story where it's like you zoom in and then you say like fin or like finished or whatever, or the end or something. I think that works very well. Is there anything else? I don't know. It's just such a cool visual as well. This like happy family thing.
Transformative power of hard work and unwavering commitment, showing how an average individual can become.
Oh, another thing is the pop filter. There was some pops here, like when I say like a place where she belongs, or something like that. The P sounds terrible. That was because my pop filter when I was in America was pretty bad compared to this one. Yeah, anyway, back to this.
Showing how an average individual can become an inspiring figure of resilience and determination, and find a place in this world where they are truly happy. And so we arrive at the heart of.
And I also like how the transition to the conclusion here it feels kind of natural. The music doesn't stop, the music continues. I don't say like in conclusion, in summary to wrap up or anything like that. So it's like hopefully people are still watching because it like, you know, it's not like an abrupt transition like my other conclusions have been.
Where they are truly happy. And so we arrive at the heart of Norn Greyrat's appeal. In a world filled with heroes and prodigies, Norn is an ordinary person, struggling to find her place in life.
Yeah, true. I remember, I don't know who it is, but someone commented here about how like this line is kind of encapsulates the entirety of the character. And I think it is like, I think that is really what it is. How it's like, she is an ordinary person surrounded by amazing people, and she still tries her best. Now, I remember when I was scripting this, I think I started, like I had the intro and I had the conclusion, which was this like particular bit here. And I wanted to be 100% certain that what I say in this conclusion shouldn't apply to other characters. And when I say that, in my mind, I had one particular character, which is Jean from Ruby. Because a lot of what you can say in this video about Norn, where it's like she's an average person surrounded by people who are much more exceptional than her, like that kind of idea, I guess, you can apply to Jean as well. And I don't find him particularly interesting at all. I mean, I do in some aspects, like in this latest volume, he was probably the most interesting character, but the great heights that I have for Norn Greyrat are nowhere near as the heights for Jean, you know? So I wanted to kind of say what I'm saying in a way that it feels like it only applies to Norn, which I feel like I do here when I summarize like her overall achievement. I don't know, anyway.
And so we arrive at the heart of Norn Greyrat's appeal. In a world filled with heroes and prodigies, Norn is an ordinary person, struggling to find.
Yeah, it's like where Jean isn't really an ordinary person. He's above them. He does succeed. He like finds merit in like fights. Like not merit, he like gets... People see him as a leader and all that, but Norn never gets any of that, you know? So I tried to distinguish it a little bit, anyway.
And so we arrive at the heart of Norn Greyrat's appeal. In a world filled with heroes and prodigies, Norn is an ordinary person, struggling to find her place in life. We see her go on a profound journey from the pits of despair on the verge of locking herself away forever, to becoming a confident, content person who is a beacon of inspiration for all the people around her. This incredible journey, combined with resilience, excessive self-critique, emotional maturity, and incredible work ethic, makes Norn Greyrat my favorite character in Mushoku Tensei. A character that shows us that greatness can be found in the most average of hearts.
True, greatness can be found in the most average. Anyway, did I close the tier list again? Jesus Christ, that's crazy. All right, Norn Greyrat, where is it? There we go, stands out. This is again an S tier video. I think it comes together very well. In terms of production, it's quite bland, but like I said a million times, the music and the script I think carry it. And there are some bits like this end cropping bit and the bit talking about or showing like Paul crying. I think that works very well. It's some of my favorite stuff. Yeah, anyway, 2 videos to go. I gotta wrap this up quickly. Wait, let me set my alarms or delay them a little bit. All right. Beware the apocalypse. So this was a thumbnail I'd had for quite a long time, a video idea that I had for quite a long time, or at least a video title. The original title was The World Will Remember That, or like something about apocalypses, or like global events that like unite everyone in the world. I guess I've already talked about this on my stream, so it's a bit weird to talk about like the making of this again, but I guess I'll do it. Yeah, I've had this idea for quite a while. But yeah, let's watch it. This is the first video I did with an actual like weird like proper intro where I just have music instead of me talking. I don't like it. I don't think I'll ever do it again. Even though it kind of works, I don't know. I am not a fan of it.
Every one of us has, at some point, stared into the...
God, I said this last time when I reacted to this, but the actual, just the transition to the voice, I don't like, where it's like, it just sounds so unnatural.
Every one of us has, at some point, stared into the abyss, fantasizing about cataclysmic events. A nuclear holocaust, a devastating pandemic, an uncontrollable artificial intelligence. We seem simultaneously terrified and entranced by the idea of world-altering events. In a world in which these scenarios...
Yeah, so I guess, let me just point out a few things, because I feel like I truly have said everything about this before. But the important thing is that I scripted this to the music. Like I chose the music was the first thing I did before I actually wrote any of the script, and then I scripted to it. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I also edited the video to the music before I had any script either, so it all comes together somehow.
Scenarios scarcely become reality. It's fiction which gives these fantasies form. Through fiction, we feel the horror without paying the real-world price. Witness the companionship and camaraderie built through shared trauma without going through any of it ourselves. However, in the realm of fiction, we're far from passive spectators. We are a sort of participant ourselves. Stories serve as sandboxes for our psyches, allowing us to explore our courage, our integrity, and our capacity for empathy. When we engage with tales of dystopia or apocalypse, we don't just immerse ourselves in calamity, we experience it viscerally. We become emotionally invested, taking on the fears, hopes, and losses of the characters as if they were our own. We consider what we would do if placed in similar situations, whether grappling with the cycle of hatred in Attack on Titan, reflecting on what we would do if faced with the indiscriminate violence of the Gun Devil's attack, or confronting the mental toll of totalitarian regimes in THX 1138 and 1984. These stories compel us to reflect on the boundaries of our own moral landscape. But what happens when the narrative steps off the page and begins to stir real-world debates? Take, for example, the passionate discussions surrounding Berserk and Attack on Titan. The eclipse and the rumbling are not merely topics for fan theories, but evolve into legitimate debates about morality, power, and the nature of good and evil. Debates that can have immense consequences on the way people view the debate participants themselves. Consider those that passionately defend Griffith's role in the eclipse, framed by others as being monstrous rape apologists. Consider those who defend the initiation of the
That was a Ciclet reference, if no one noticed.
Labeled as proponents of genocide and supporters of fascistic ideals. These debates, although grounded in fictional universes, are a microcosm of larger society.
I said this before as well, but this scene where it's like the music, the I don't know, violin or whatever is like playing while they're zooming out, I think it works very well together. It's good.
Dialogue about ethics and responsibility, and can have consequences on those involved. If
the greatest scene in all of Evangelion, my god.
Language is not couched carefully. So this raises the question, if narratives stir...
And my god, the greatest movie of all time, Madoka Magica Rebellion.
...thoughts and our rage, what impact will technology have on this domain? What is the future of the fictional abyss? What will happen when AI generated...
And then this entire, like, this was probably the first or second thing that I edited, which was like the spending a long time on this like actual shot from the video, from the anime, to the music. I don't know.
What is the future of the fictional abyss? What will happen when AI generated apocalyptic tales are tailored to your individual psyche, serving you personalized nightmares?
And then the quick flashes that come up here are also like a kind of early edit thing I did.
Satisfying your fascination with world-ending events to an unseen extent. It may offer unprecedented escapism, yet also poses unprecedented risk. Your deepest fears, biases, and moral inclinations being read by an algorithm to produce personalized narratives. But will these narratives push the boundaries of your moral landscape? Or will they create a world of echo chambers where viewpoints are amplified rather than questioned? There is a value in apocalyptic fiction. It's an engaging method of getting us to question the extremities of our morality. But how are we to know if our conclusions are valid if no one is around to challenge our stances? While this AI-driven world could satisfy our craving for escapism, it may also create an uncritical audience, unwilling or unable to confront moral complexity. It could trap us in personalized ethics bubbles where our moral growth is stunted by lack of exposure to different perspectives. So as we dive into the future of these narrative worlds, perhaps we should tread carefully. For fiction is a double-edged sword. Give it power and it can illuminate or distort, liberate or entrap.
My one Death Note thing I put in here, crazy. Anyway.
Can illuminate or distort, liberate or entrap. And perhaps if you stare unchallenged into a fictional abyss, well, beware a real apocalypse.
Alright, that was, it was good. I enjoyed it. I guess the transition to AI, like I said when I talked about this initially, it feels a bit abrupt. I couldn't really think I couldn't really think of what to do. I think that was like through interaction with like ChatGPT and me like brainstorming. I'm like trying to figure out what can I end this transition on to make it like tie in with the whole idea of this video. And I don't know, AI kind of came together and was the final thing here to include. But I don't know, it's fine. This is a, I think this is an A tier video. Where is it? You can go in A tier. Like the editing works very well, I think. Probably must close it again. Now we have the last one.
Attack on Titan.
What will Attack on Titan leave behind? So this was part of Attack on Titan's Finest, a collaboration with Jarky Bacon, who said that we were going to publish a video about about a select chapter of Attack on Titan, or a select episode. And I chose chapter 9 of Attack on Titan, or episode 10, or whatever it ends up being. The beating of a heart can be heard. And here we go. This got a lot of views for some reason.
Titan has
Another one of those videos where I integrate the spoiler warning into the actual video.
Attack on Titan has many faces: action, drama, psychology, horror, mystery, and science fiction.
And I think this intro works very well. Just the way I'm narrating it, the actual things flashing on screen, like it feels very not high production, but like it feels high quality, I guess. I don't know.
Drama, psychology, horror, mystery, and science fiction, to name a few. But with the series about to exit the collective unconscious due to the anime coming to a close, what will Attack on Titan leave behind? For most,
I think the framing here is very good as well. Like, when Attack on Titan is finished, you see a video called this, you see someone questioning, like, what will it leave behind? I think it's an interesting premise, I guess.
Leave behind. For most, I imagine it's
like, it's an interesting way to wrap a video where mainly I'm just not analyzing, but pointing out what I like about it, or recapping even one of my favorite chapters, so... Yeah.
Final act will be what is remembered. A protagonist turned antagonist, a bleak ending with billions dead, and the cycle of violence being left open to interpretation. For some, I imagine the Titans themselves will be what leaves their mark. Their uncanny horror, their gruesome actions, and their twisted origins. And for others, it will be the mysteries and plot twists that will stand the test of time. The colossal and armored Titan, the basement, Ymir's origins, and memories of the future. Now, I used to fall into the first of these camps. The rumbling is my favorite part of Attack on Titan. It's horrific, it's sad, and at the same time, you understand the tragedies that led to it. But on rereading the manga, there was one moment of one chapter, far before the faintest notion of a rumbling, that struck me far more than it ever did the first time through. And the feeling it gave me will stick with me when I think of Attack on Titan. With the sudden appearance of the colossal Titan, Trost is thrown into disarray. With the absence of the Survey Corps, the garrison takes command of the salvaging operation. Mikasa, already recognized as an elite soldier, is assigned to the rearguard, leaving Eren and Armin with the rest of the trainees. Naturally, Mikasa isn't too happy about leaving Eren's side, but Eren doesn't tolerate any of her complaints, headbutting her and giving her an earful about
I guess this video has a lot of recap, so I don't know. If you enjoy recap, you'll like this.
how she's being selfish. So Mikasa apologizes, agrees to go with the rest of the elite soldiers, and makes one final request of Eren.
Don't die.
Die. Transition to a nervously excited training corps, about to get the chance to prove themselves in combat for the first time. With Eren's rallying cry, they advance right into their deaths. The first to go is Thomas, quickly chewed up by an abnormal. Eren, filled with anger, rushes in to kill it, and loses his leg in the process. Mina, Nuck, and Milius are quick to follow, being eaten, crushed, and swallowed. Frozen in place, Armin is the last to go, picked up by a bearded titan and dropped into its mouth, until a one-legged Eren sacrifices himself to save
Yeah, I said this as well when I reacted to this. I mean, I'm going to stop mentioning that I've already reacted to stuff, but this edit here was ridiculous. Like, him going into the mouth and grabbing Armin out was like an intercut of like goddamn 10 different scenes, or 10 different like shots that they included in the actual anime that I had to succinctly put into like a 0.5 second shot that I could fit in between like the words I'm saying. So anyway,
is the last to go, picked up by a bearded titan.
You probably see if you pay like
and
slow
dropped into
attention, it's a bit like weird.
its mouth, until a one-legged Eren sacrifices himself to save
As you notice, the 5 different shots that were included there. Anyway,
Armin's life. Armin then has a breakdown. Everyone around him
I also don't like that, like saying Armin then has a breakdown. It sounds like the recap is going on for too long.
dying. His best friend is gone,
But the music, like turning ominous, kind of works there, I guess.
and there's no hope left within him. And with the arrival of Mikasa, he now has to tell this girl, who values Eren more than anyone, who only has the will to live because Eren showed her how, he has to tell this girl that her dearest and closest and most important person in her life is dead because he couldn't reach out his hand sooner. But Mikasa is surprisingly accepting of the news. She does what Armin couldn't and keeps her emotions in check for the time being, as this is no time to be getting sentimental. She gives a harsh motivational speech to the rest of the trainees about how she will lead the charge to clear the Titans around their target, proclaiming her strength to be above all those around her. She charges at a remarkable speed and takes out the Titans in her path, with only Armin realizing that the cool-headed persona she is trying to portray is but an act. She's banishing her grief through reckless action, and she ends up at the feet of a Titan because of it. But Mikasa refuses to die, because to die would be to forget Eren forever. And thanks to an unknown Titan-killing Titan, all the trainees in Trost get to live another day. So at the end of the battle, Mikasa and Armin stand upon a rooftop, staring at the Titan that they owe their lives to as their best friend emerges from it. Rushing down in an instant, Mikasa grabs Eren, squeezing him with her ear to his chest, and the chapter's title comes to life. Chapter 9 of Attack on Titan, The Beating of a Heart Can Be Heard. She wails like we've never heard her wail before, as Armin grabs the hand that he wished he had managed to reach back then. A friend they thought they had lost forever is given a second chance.
I guess that's a line I like. A friend they thought they had lost forever is given a second chance. Like, I think it comes together well. Again, this is one of those cathartic kind of videos where I'm like, I've had this idea for quite a while. Let me express it to other people, I guess, to see. Which is just how much I like this, like, beating of a heart can be heard. Like, the chapter's title being that really is an important part of why this moment is so great. Anyway.
This is one of, if not the most emotionally impactful moment in Attack on Titan for me. A moment that strikes much harder the second time around, when you intimately know the characters that are involved. The Battle of Trost was incredibly simple compared to what Attack on Titan eventually becomes. Before the rumbling, the Jaegerists and the other side of the sea, before the uprising, the coordinate, and even the vaguest idea of Titan shifters, Mikasa and Armin think they've lost their friend forever, and words cannot express how grateful they are to have him back. This simple, down-to-earth moment from Chapter 9 of the manga, or Episode 8 of the anime, is one of Attack on Titan's finest, and it will forever be one of the many great things that Attack on Titan leaves behind for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Attack on-
I guess
from chapter
tying
9
in
of the manga, or episode.
tying in the idea of Attack on Titan's finest into the actual script itself. It all came together very well. At the little twist about how initially it's like me talking about, oh, this is the greatest like thing in Attack on Titan, and at the end saying this is the greatest moment for me. You know, I don't know. I think it works very well. This is, where is it? Goodbye. I think I would say it's a borderline between S and A. I'd probably put it in A to be safe. It's a lot of recap. I don't enjoy, I guess, watching the middle bit now that I've seen it more than once. But I love the end bit and I love the beginning bit. The beginning might be it probably is my strongest intro to anything I've done so far. Like, just like the listing here,
Mystery and science fiction, to name a few.
like that, talking about like what people like about the show. I think up till the beginning of the recap, I think this might be the best section of any video I've made so far. But yeah. Which is interesting because this is the quickest I've ever made a video, which was like 2 days, I think, from no words on the page to having an actual completed video. It was crazy. Anyway, so that's the tier list. Maybe I'll quickly afterwards do this like unscripted stuff. Not all of it, but just like this different series I've done. Maybe not. Maybe that's it. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this yearly recap. I guess I'll see you next year.